invite you to join us in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
She's not here, I'm gonna use her chair.
There you go.
Where is she tonight? Here, huh?
Nope. In case of fire, there are two ways to exit the chambers. To my left, you go through those double doors, turn left, walk down a flight of stairs, and out of the building. Perhaps the best way for you to exit the chambers is through the doors at the back. In either case, once you're out of the building, please walk a safe distance away from the building. Secretary, please take the roll.
Charles Duran.
Here.
Elizabeth Ballard.
Here.
Nicholas Lefakis. Here. Charles Ladd.
Here.
Mary Scott, absent. Rich Suzak is here. Linda DeGray.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Linda DeGray will be sitting in for the absent commissioner. Staff reports, town attorney.
Mr. Chairman, I think you have two vacancies tonight. You have Alan and then you have Mary.
Oh, all right, that's right. Alan's name wasn't read, and all right, you're right.
No longer Ellen, you resigned.
So Jenny will be sitting in also.
But formerly held by Alan.
Well, it's very seldom that we have two vacancies. Okay. Okay, thank you. Town attorney? Any questions for the town attorney through Roger?
No, there's only that one.
Okay, then moving on, zoning enforcement officer, we don't have a report. Roger, do you have one for us?
No, other than that today, under the zoning fine ordinance, the junkyard that had been previously cited for the junk cars and also the wild goats, that was given a fine citation today for the. So that would be their second zoning enforcement matter since I've been here. That's we've used the fine ordinance on. So that just went out today.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so we're starting to use that one when it's necessary. Actually, when we designed that and put that in the regulations, that was the intent. Hopefully, we'd have people that would comply before we'd ever have to use it. That's unfortunate, but we had to go there, but we did. Okay. Approval of minutes, April. Well, let's go for it backwards, I guess, because your papers were at least mine were in backwards. May 18th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for May 18th.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any additions, errors, or omissions?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Page 25, paragraph 3. I think the word is supposed to be stating, not stating. It says, Mr. O'Brien consider the staff resolution a whereas stating that there will be a remaining small batch. It's just a spell check. Page 28. Wrong name on the last paragraph.
Right.
Where is it? Here we go. The man's name is Skull, not Stowe. Skull.
No, that's right. That's,
28.
that's,
This is on the hearings
this is
for
May 18th.
May
Oh,
18th.
May 18th, I thought you said it.
And on page 22, I don't know if it's an error, it wasn't in or what, but we didn't vote for a waiver for site plan requirements on that issue, or if we did, it wasn't registered in the minutes. I'll have to check and see if it was voted on, or maybe we should just
Which
do it
one's
now.
this?
The site plan for McManus. 22?
What do you
The
want
top
waiver
line,
on?
it says, exterior of the building, and the commission can waive the full-blown site plan requirements provided you have sufficient information, but nobody ever waived them.
But I think that referred to
Well, it
the
said
outside activities which we didn't take up.
there'd be no changes made to the exterior of the building, and the commission can waive them, provided you have sufficient information, but we still gotta waive the
Waive
site
what?
plan requirements, because it was a site plan.
The site plan was for the activities and the patio, I think, because there's no change interior.
No changes to anything, really, but exterior either, but,
Well, because we didn't take it up.
okay, so that's why there was no.
I
we
would
did
think.
vote on it. We passed a motion on 700 on, to approve SPR 1714.
But basically,
No,
what you approved was the floor plan and the use, the change in use
To
and the
the one.
interior. There were no,
If you-
on that site plan, it was called a site plan application, but there were no site plan
21,
changes.
Okay. I-
Where you'll need the site plan is, or a drawing will be when the question is where's the patio, how wide, how tall, so forth, and where will the outdoor activities be and how police gets in and out. But for the use, the change of use from beer brewery to winery was all interior.
Right. You stated there would be, you actually stated there would be no changes made to the exterior of the building, and the commission can waive the full-blown site plan requirements, but we didn't. That was my point, yeah.
But there was, and it's left out.
It's the commission's preference. I think you're all right with it.
Yeah, but you had made the statement beforehand
Right.
that we could not take up the out part. In fact,
Right.
that's on another agenda.
Right, we tabled the
the rest.
patio and the outdoor events, and we went to taking up the use.
Right, yeah, okay.
And there were, for the outdoor events is where this would refer to, I think, unless you want that stricken,
No, that's fine.
if it's confusing. All right. Any others? Any further?
Page
Not for me.
28, that second to the last paragraph. It's 1, 2, 3, fourth line down. A busy like internet sales. I think it meant business like the internet sales.
Or business like the
Yeah,
internet sales.
instead of busy.
Yeah, missed that.
Any others? Page 10. I have one. Especially on Trevor Drive, and I believe there were several comments made, and there aren't any reasons given for the denial, and they should be in there. Because I had said myself, there were a couple of errors that she had in violation.
On Trevor Drive, you want us to look up from the tape what the reasons were and put them
Yeah,
in the
there
minute?
should be, the reason
be
should
some
be
in there.
in
Okay.
there.
All right.
Which is, okay, anything addition further? No errors, no other omissions?
No.
All in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous, no abstentions. Okay, the
7-0.
special meeting of May 11th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for the special meeting on May 11th.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Any errors, additions, or omissions?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain?
Okay, make a motion to
601.
approve the minutes for April 26th.
Okay, you're already ahead, good.
26 or April 6th?
Come on, a second,
Second.
please. Thank you.
Is it April 26th or April
No,
6th?
April 6th.
April 6th.
We did the other one for a reason. Okay. Any errors, additions, or omissions? 12.
Didn't see any.
Good. Then, all in favor? Opposed? And abstentions? Okay, it's unanimous, 700.
And just for the commission's information, we still owe you April 20th minutes.
Is that the one we took up? April 20th? All right.
No, you didn't take,
I thought we
they
took
weren't
one
on
out
the
of
agenda,
order.
and I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure we should have listed them on the agenda, and then,
Yeah, we should carry them.
yeah, we should carry them on the agenda. You haven't adopted your April 20th minutes yet.
Okay. At this point in the meeting, Planning and Zoning Commission welcomes comments, concerns, and opinions relating to planning and zoning in Enfield from anyone who's present, provided no one may discuss any matter of business at this time that is already elsewhere on the agenda, any matter that's part of an open public hearing of the commission, or any matter where a decision of the commission may be pending. Is there anyone that would care to address the commission under those conditions? Anyone to address the commission under those conditions? Last call to address the commission at this time. Okay, moving on. There are no bond releases. Old business, public hearing 2857, Olive Garden. Is the applicant here? Then,
The applicant has asked that this be continued until the 15th.
how much more,
You're okay because they gave us an extension.
all right, I just, some way that this, we can stop doing this because it clutters up everything.
Including the print package we're carrying around.
You
mean-
recall that at the initial meeting, when they were here, the commission asked for material samples. And what they have been telling us is that they need more time to get the material samples.
Yeah, that's all that we really had any issues about.
Well, yeah, we wanted to see the colors and what they're,
So
they're right. Well,
bring them in, they got 10 minutes here and they're out of here.
all right,
But that's the only thing hanging fire on that
That's
application, is the commission wanted to see the material samples.
all right.
Okay, 2860.
Okay, then new business. Well, Secretary, please take the roll for 2857. I have to open it and see if anyone wants to talk.
Charles Durin,
Here,
Elizabeth Ballard,
Here.
Nicholas Lefakis.
Here.
Charles Ladd,
Here.
Mary Scott, absent, Richard Suzak, here, Linda DeGray,
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Commissioners DeGray and Higley will be sitting in for the vacant seats. Anyone in the audience would like to speak in favor or against the application, public hearing 2857? Anyone would like to speak in favor or against 2857? Last call to speak against 2857. Roger, when did they request the hearing extension?
They said they'd be ready in your June 15th meeting.
May I have a motion for the extension to that date?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we continue public hearing 2857 to June 15th.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor? Okay, are you two, are you voting favor or against? Okay, it's unanimous, 700. Okay, new business, public hearing 2866. Secretary, read the legal notice and take the roll.
The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 1st, 2017, beginning at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application. Public hearing 2866, 2 Shaker Road, special use permit for retail package store, owner Blake Investments, LLC, applicant Rachna K. Mistry, map 064, lot 0070, commercial business local BL zone. And Charles Duran.
Here.
Elizabeth Ballard.
Here.
Nicholas Lefakis. Here. Charles Ladd.
Here.
Mary Scott, absent. Richard Suzak. Here. Linda DeGray.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Is the applicant here?
They were here the last meeting.
I know. Well,
That's it.
any commissioners' questions first before we keep going? I'll open to the public.
I did have one question on their letter. They didn't mention any Saturday hours. They were just mentioning Monday through Friday and Sunday. Do you know if they're going to have Saturday hours? You don't know. Okay, just,
To
Right.
go by what they said.
yeah, all right. Just question.
There are,
Because-
the only comments we received was from the fire marshal. I think you, do they have the fire marshal's packet? In your add-ons, we gave you the comments. What we do in this meeting is to put all the comments on an application on one page for you. So you know if, so you have comments for 2 Shaker Road, and it's, you have the fire department comments.
I have, it's probably on my desk.
I don't have it.
It's in here. Yeah, I got one. It's in here, Charlie.
Yeah, I know, that's what this is. Okay, engineering is okay. We'll have to, I'll open this in public, but we'll have to continue this to the next meeting. Which, when we finish, if someone will make sure they make a motion, please, to do that. Okay. Anyone in the public would like to speak in favor or against this application? This again is an application for a liquor store at 2 Shaker Road. Anyone like to speak in favor or against the application? Last call to speak in favor or against the application. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we continue public hearing 2866 till our next meeting, June 15th.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's continued. Okay. Let me, that's 2 Shaker Road. Where I got this down?
Taylor Road.
Yeah, I know, I want to get, let me get some of this paperwork out of here, because if this is continued, I've got to keep it. That's Scoot Park, I don't want that. Okay.
Would you like the applicant to come forward?
No, because I want to get some of this stuff filed so that I'm able to save it, and take it home. Okay. Next is public hearing 2868, 472 Taylor Road. Secretary, please take the roll and read the legal notice and take the roll.
The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 1st, 2017, beginning at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application. And it's 2868 Meacham Drive and Taylor Road, Shaker Heights Development, modification of public hearing 2322 and public hearing 2323, special use permit, 38 residential lots. Owner applicant, Kent Picoy and Sons Construction, Inc., residential 44, R44 zone. Charles Durin.
Here.
Elizabeth Ballard. Nicholas Lefakis.
Here.
Charles Ladd.
Here.
Mary Scott, absent. Richard Suzak is here. Linda DeGray.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Okay, applicant, come forward, please. State your name and address and do your presentation.
Lawrence Lloyd, 289 Main Street.
The
Wilbraham, Mass.
microphone, please, sir.
Lawrence
Being
Lloyd,
recorded and you're on TV.
Sit.
289 Main Street, Wilbraham, Mass. I have a request, Mr. Chairman. I was supposed to be joined by two colleagues who have our presentation materials, and you've stepped through your agenda so quickly, they're not here yet. Wondered if I could be put a little bit
Well, I
back.
wish you'd let us know ahead of time before we opened it, but maybe, is there any part of it that you can take?
I sure can. I just want to have some materials to show you.
I don't know.
Can
I
we
think
continue it
the
to
most
the end?
important thing is to have the architect, here they are
Here they
now.
are.
Okay, never mind.
I
They practice the just-in-time methodology.
guess.
Just in time.
Good evening. Please, again, your name and addresses. And
Lawrence Lloyd, 289 Main Street, Wilbraham, Mass.
I'm Kent Picoy, 15 Peak Road, Wilbraham, Mass.
So-
Into the mic, please.
Please use the mic. There's a microphone and you're being recorded. The TV cameras are on. The public is listening to you, so whatever you're telling us, you're telling to the Enfield at large.
Okay.
And they like to hear you.
Good evening. My name's Jacqueline Varney. I'm on Peak Road in Wilbraham, Massachusetts.
You have a hand mic there, too.
Thank
That's
you.
Or
if
if
they
you do
get up.
displays or stuff.
And I'm Kent Picoy, Wilbraham, Massachusetts.
You also have a hand mic.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before to begin, what the commission received was, this is the continuation of two, or a modification of what was approved as two separate applications. One was a subdivision along Taylor Road, which has been built and completed. The second was a senior residential development. And under a senior residential development in your regulations, you get to approve the elevation drawings and the layout of the houses. And so what was sent to you was elevation drawings that are currently there, which are referred to as Clark, Tate, Lee, and Lee 2. What the applicant submitted at the ART and was not distributed to you until tonight was 4 drawings that are called Summers, Parker, Maple, and Copley, but it's also have a 2 variation of that. And so whereas it appears that you would be approving 4, since you're also approving a variation of each one, you're actually approving 8 elevations. So what I suggested to the architect, since you haven't seen those 8 variations, that they walk you through them, and then the commission can determine whether or not you've had sufficient time or you're comfortable, and if you're not, you could roll it over. But So you have, basically, this is a continuation of the Shaker Heights Senior Residential Development, and the new builder is asking for permission to build one of 8 new elevation drawings. And with that, I'll go back to the applicant.
Okay. So we are delighted to have recently acquired the remaining building rights at Shaker Heights. This is a project that absolutely fits within the sweet spot of projects that we like to build and in the geographic area that we prefer to build in. We are looking forward to working with the Homeowners Association. We've established a rapport with that body as well already, and look forward to working with the town to a successful conclusion of construction at Shaker Heights. We know this has been sitting basically idle for a short period of time.
Yes.
Before I talk about the application specifically, I wanted to give you a little bit of flavor about our company. Ken Pecoy founded Ken Pecoy and Sons Construction Company about 25 years ago. We are a single-family home builder and developer, so builder in that we will build on a lot wherever that may be. If it's in the geographic area we like to build in, that could be your lot or our lot. We are also in the development business, meaning that we acquire land, have it permitted, install infrastructure, complete a project, and then move on to the next one. In terms of geographic area, we operate from southern Vermont to the coastal area of Connecticut, from the Berkshires over to Cape Cod. Prior to running this company, Kent, as a young man, lived in California and, not surprisingly, ran and operated a very successful construction company there as well. He is a native to the Western Mass area and at some point decided that it was time to come home. And he did that, and of all places he picked to live when he came back, he lived in Enfield, Connecticut. He raised his family here and was in town here long enough to see all of his children graduate from Enrico Fermi High School. So I'd also like to talk a little bit about what I regard as the value proposition of the company. Residential construction, in our belief, is on a continuum. On one end, where builders are purely interested in a profit motive, and on the other end of the continuum, we have people that are interested in the art form and the aesthetic of building houses. And I know Kent long enough to understand that he's interested in making a profit, but clearly he likes to play in the area of the continuum where there is an aesthetic design to the houses that he builds. If you are interested in unique design or a house that's particularly tailored for your family, whatever the circumstances that may be, or you just like a house with a lot of trim, Kent is the guy for you. So related to that, we also think about the housing stock of the communities that we come into, and have come to understand that there are a lot of economic theories that say that housing stock is the prime generator of economic prosperity in local areas. So when we come into a community to build, you can be assured that it is top-notch quality. It is built for the long term, and it will be something that you'd be proud to have as part of the housing stock of that particular community. So that's a little bit of flavor on us and our views of the construction world. We're actually here to talk about 3 things, to ask for permission for 3 things. Roger mentioned the floor plan component. We also would like to talk about a new sign for the property. The sign that is by the entrance of the property is old. It was actually installed parallel to the road, so it's a little difficult to pick up unless you come right upon it when you're on Shaker Road.
Sir, I can stop you there. We don't handle the signs. They will upstairs in the office.
Okay, through the building inspector?
No, through
Planning
that gentleman
Okay.
right there.
Okay, we can talk about that. Just one other thing I wanted to bring to your attention then, in a homeowners association meeting in February, we were asked if we would be willing to use the access road to the property, which comes off of Moody Street. The theory being that we could keep heavy equipment and bring materials on and off the property, through that access road. We think that is a very good idea. We'd like to keep the multiple axle heavy trucks off the front part of the property where there is a finished roadway already. Would prefer not to put the wear and tear on that part of the property. So Jackie Varney is here with us. She does all our design and architectural work, and she's going to talk a little bit about how she arrived at the new house design.
I believe I've heard of the construction company before. Did you do a special house in Suffield
Yes.
several years ago?
Yeah. Extreme Home Build you're referring to.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, remember that and saw that on TV. Thank you.
I do have a question.
Okay. Who has a question? Oh, go ahead.
On that access road for the construction equipment, that's kind of a blind, coming up that hill, there's a blind intersection there. You'd surprise a lot of people coming over that hill if you had a trailer across the road.
Yeah, I understand that. I sat there last week to look at the, sight lines up and down the road, and I think if trucks are just careful and proceed slowly, it will be okay.
Well, I had the same note, and I know Commissioner Higley also did. And I had in my notes that perhaps the town or through the police department could put signs at the beginning to watch for trucks entering and leaving.
Give 'em a little
They'd
heads up.
have to, because I think the view for coming from Summers Road isn't that bad.
No.
Otherwise, and I don't know if we have a notation from the police department on that or not, Roger, but I think that would be important, that they know that it's there.
We provided the commission with pictures of that road. And the staff recommendation is that it's not be used. We went
I
out-
hadn't read that yet.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, because I did take a look at that roadway, and that roadway is awful narrow at that particular location. In terms of, have you done a study as a turning radius of the equipment that you're going to be bringing in there? And could it actually make that corner? Because it's a relatively narrow roadway. I don't think it's more than 20 feet wide in terms of, coming down. It's not as wide as the lower section of Moody Road, which is significantly wider. As it goes up the hill after the stop sign going eastward, it becomes extremely, extremely narrow. So,
I agree, it is narrow, but I think Moody Street and the time that I spent on it is not heavily trafficked, so it would require a wide swing of a truck to make that turn, and I think it's possible, yes.
could you actually have somebody take a look at that to make sure so that there's not a significant amount of wear and tear on the curbs and?
If the recommendation of the police and so forth, we'll have to wait. Go ahead, you're all right.
I have concerns about the pictures that I was sent on the computer. Didn't appear that it was paved. It looked like it was just
It's not.
grass.
It's gravelled.
Okay.
Well, I was going into that because, a couple of us were on the commission at the time. I don't know the depth or what that weight could take, but I believe we had a water problem down on Shaker Road, and most of the water from that was flooding down below for some reason.
On Summers Road.
Summers Road, I'm sorry, you're right. And the water was flooding out some of those houses and the road down on Summers Road. And in order to correct that, he ran a line through that fire break. He ran a new storm drain out into the town storm drain. So I don't know whether your trucks loaded would be able to traverse that road and not break what's under there. I don't know. I don't know the depth of the pipe or.
No, we looked at that. It's a good question. Was actually built to hold fire apparatus, and we wouldn't be moving any trailers through there. You're correct that to turn onto Moody Street,
Right.
for a lowboy, that's just not going to make that corner. It would be more concrete trucks, triaxles, that kind of equipment and apparatus going through there. So they're roughly the same weight as a fire truck, fully loaded fire truck.
Well, as I say, I didn't know if you were running in with loads of soil or whatever else you're taking in and out of there, if that road was built to handle that, because I'm sure the storm sewer would crack or whatever.
Yeah, the pipe that's underneath there, I believe, is structural, but we would maintain the road, obviously, over there. We'd probably put stone dust over the existing gravel
Well, I just didn't want you to run into the same problem
Yeah.
of all the water flowing down onto the properties in back, which
That's
it
a good
had
point.
been at the time, and they did go and correct that.
Did we get anything from the police department? I mean, that's a really busy road. I know you probably were there when there wasn't much traffic, but that's big-time industrial road.
It's a cut-through for Summers, really.
Yes. Maybe I missed
The
it.
police department didn't attend the ART when the issue was brought up, and they did not, I don't believe they provided comments on it, because when we sent it out, I don't think it was explicitly stated that that was a request. Basically, we sent out the elevation drawings.
Yeah, I
So,
just have concerns.
You know,
See if
that,
it goes out specifically, please, Roger.
so,
Otherwise, we'd have to,
Well, I know that based upon staff going out from the planning office and taking the pictures and all things considered, we didn't think it was a good idea.
all right, well,
Given given the condition of the road, the residential property that sits on the corner, that's going to have vehicles coming in and out next to it with the dust blowing up and down, and
well, we've had a discussion on it, and we'll
Yeah.
hear more from the public
Yeah.
perhaps, so if we can move along, but you know what's out already, so I'll let you continue on the rest, or please continue on the
Okay,
rest.
thank you. Jackie, could you talk a little bit about the plans?
I can. So in the first four plans that I believe you've seen so far, they represent, we've sat down with the folks in Shaker Heights and asked them what they wanted and what they liked about their homes and what they thought maybe could be improved. And so we took those recommendations and came up with a plan that we think works with both the folks up there as well as what we're hearing across the board at our work. People like open floor plans, they like to interact, and they like their privacy as well. So all of those things in that program we've implemented in the four base plans that you've seen, I believe. The latter four plans that are here tonight, we've basically taken those first four plans and embellished them a little bit, add a little bit more wiggle room, streamline the way that someone works and moves through the home, and maybe add a little bit more room in each one of the rooms. We've also added a study to each one of those floor plans. We're finding that folks are spending a lot more.
I think, I'm just speaking for myself, not the commission, but the commission hasn't seen the drawings. If you want to take each one and put them up here and walk them through them, I think that would be the best thing to
I think you
do.
better, because
Because
I haven't
you
seen
got to
them.
take each one and put it up and walk through them and turn the pages so they know what you're presenting.
Oh, sure.
I spent time looking at your plans of the old houses.
Basically, as I said, the difference between the first floor and the second floor is we've just added a study to each one of them. We're finding that folks like to spend more time at home. They're working more at home.
Again, it would help if we had a diagram, ma'am. We
Right, I
haven't seen
think
them.
Kent's going to help us with that.
That's all those are, I don't know where mine are. Oh, that's what I gave you, it's throw it up there.
The board up and then we'll just lay it on these boards.
See the study?
Again, please remember, you're being picked up by that camera, so what you are showing us, you're also showing to the public.
Okay. Happy to do that. The model that you see here is called the Copley 2. I believe you've seen the Copley. It takes advantage of the full building envelope of the site. In other words, we're stretching the house out as wide as we possibly can so that folks can afford that property. The front elevation takes a little bit more advantage of different materials so that it kind of sets their home apart from somebody else's. We're finding that these homes are very similar in footprint and how they work, and we really needed to be creative to sort of set them apart from the next home. So I think folks really appreciate that value. What you're seeing here is the front and all the other sides of the elevations.
I think what the commission wants to know is what are the materials, what are the windows?
Sure.
They're
Materials we're using on the homes now would like to implement some stone up in the Shaker Heights. What you see here are shakes and clapboard. They're a vinyl material. They're a very low maintenance material. You don't have to paint them. Once it goes on, it stays on and it maintains its color and value. We use Appella window series, which is a nice window series. It holds its value. Wayne Dalton overhead front doors, overhead doors, Therma-Tru front doors. Everything we use is of high grade. Everything we use is in the same homes that we're using throughout Western Massachusetts.
Well, will it match what is already there as far as looks, so that it doesn't stand out as far as what
It's-
is already there?
Right, it takes what's already there and adds to it. There's some nice ranch homes up there, and it just adds a little bit more, and it brings it into where we are today with materials and green construction, as well as nice appointments. We're finding that folks are asking for this. They're asking for these craftsman details. They're asking for stone. They're asking to be a little bit different than the next person next door. So,
And which one is that you have up here?
so what we have up here is the Copley 2 model.
We got Copley, what?
It's like the fourth one in. They found the Copley too.
Is it A? What's the number? Is there
It's a number on the bottom.
sheet number?
Doesn't have a number.
No, no number?
In the corner?
I got
No,
Copley
no number.
model, no number. All I got's Copley. I don't have the old Copley.
Charlie, here's this one.
Here.
Okay, okay. Well, if you're looking, all right.
This is the two.
Where's Sharon?
What we're finding is all the floor plans that are up there and the ones that we're proposing are very, very similar. In other words, there's a central entrance, a garage, and then some floor plan on the other side. It's very, we've taken great steps to ensure that those houses are a little bit different in the way they look than what they have up there. In other words, we don't want to compete with what's up there, and as well, we don't want them competing with ours. In other words, if someone was to sell their home up there, we don't want a competition happening. All of the floor plans offer at least 2 bedrooms and a study on the 2 models, with a nice spacious open area for family dining, kitchen, and family room. This is what we're finding the market is asking for such a long time. People want to interact with their families. And so that's what these floor plans offer. Each plan has 2 bathrooms, 2 full bathrooms, and lots of room for storage, and lots of room for privacy and living space. All 4 of the plans that you have in front of you offer the same thing. They're just configured a little bit differently, just so that people have some flexibility in how they want to live.
I think that's where the confusion is. There's 8 plans in front of them. There's the Copley and the Copley 2, the Maple 2, the Parker 2, and the Summers 2. So can you explain, is it 4 plans or is it 8 plans?
Right, so it is 8 plans. The first 4 plans are what we call our base models. They're 2-bedroom homes with all of the necessary essentials. And it exercises a price point. It opens the door for a broader market of people who are just first-time buyers, as well as people who are retiring. You know, sometimes people don't need a whole lot of space, so we need to offer a floor plan that accommodates that. The 2 models take those first floor plans and just embellishes them a little bit, gives them a little bit more room, takes more advantage of the building envelope, gives them a little more space to travel through the house, and maybe embellishes some of the materials on the outside. It answers to a different price point, maybe a little bit higher price point. People who can afford the price point.
Could be in here. No, this is what you want. Those are on the table tonight. That's a stack there. That's what I threw down.
Does anybody have any particular questions on the Copley 2?
So there's a window
on the front elevation, above the garage and above what would be, I guess, a bedroom, is there actually a second floor, or is that attic space?
On this particular model, it's attic space, but we've added the window because it looks nice. You know, we want folks to be pleased with their house. And so we've taken the extra steps to add a window and add a dormer on this particular one. Right now, that's just attic space, but aesthetically, it's pleasing. It balances the elevation. There are a couple of models on the twos where you can access bonus space on the second floor if someone wanted to have a game room or a theater or something like that.
So basically, for some of these models, you would have a stairwell a staircase that goes up to the second floor, or would it be a hatchway?
A staircase that would go to the second floor. There's two of the models that do have staircase that go to the second floor. Right now, they're just featured as one floor living, but if someone wanted to finish off the space above, there are two plans where we offer that can do that.
Do any of them have like a downstairs? I know there are some there now that are on an elevation.
Right.
Where they have, let's say, a rec room downstairs because it goes out to the outside.
Oh,
up
sure.
Down the hill.
Yes, they're all going to have basements, and so they have the ability to finish them off if they want to. Some of the property up there has a pretty steep grade change, and
Right.
so we can offer a really nice walkout basement for somebody.
Right.
So that, of course, is up to them, but yes, we do offer that if someone would like to do that.
And how about porches? Because on some of those on the hill, I know have porches.
Yes, yep, and we are offering an optional screen porch in the back or a sunroom in the back. There is room for that, and we do make provisions for that. We're finding that people want to spend more time outside, and we like to provide those transition spaces. Again, it depends on the grade. A lot of those grades fall off,
Yes,
so we
they do.
have, it'll either be a deck with space below, or it'll be a walkout patio, or what have you.
Both on the side towards Taylor Road and both on the
Right.
side towards Summers
Right,
Road.
some of those properties, beautiful views up there.
They are.
Yeah. So we'd like to try to be, these plans are as flexible as we can make them.
Okay, let's, on the next one.
So this one is the Maple 2. Again, a very similar footprint where you have garage, front door, and then living space. So the challenge is how do we make that look different? It's a similar floor plan, but it's different. So how do we make that look different? And that was our challenge here, is we want people to feel like they have a completely different home. Again, this is the Maple 2.
That's the Summers, I got Summers too. Let me find them. What did you got?
Maple.
What number is it?
Here's a Maple.
Yeah, but,
Share it over there. We'll share it over here.
okay, we'll get one. Well, you come on, you want to share with us? Oh, okay. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah. So once again, the Maple 2, as in all the others, features the same thing, but just configured a little differently. You know, some people might want to have their family room on the left side and the kitchen on the right. It's all in how they and what their preferences are. Again, each plan features 2 full bedrooms, 2 full baths, and then an additional study for those folks that want to work at home.
Exterior materials.
Family room, kitchen, dining room is open, and some of them have the access to the second floor, but they all have access to the basement and hopefully a walkout, depending on what lot they choose. Does anybody have any particular questions on this model?
Turn the next page.
You'd be surprised. A lot of people really like to take advantage of the bonus space. You know, there's a lot of roof line up there, so people like to be able to access it and use it. It's a good spot to throw the kids when they're home, or to have a workout space or a home theater, whatever.
Stair climbing.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say. We're finding that a lot of our clientele really likes that first floor living. They like everything on the first floor. But hey, if there's space up there that we can occupy, let's do it just in case, we have guests or we have, the kids are over for the weekend or whatever. People like to be able to have access to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, we're
Any
taking it.
questions for her on this one? All right.
Are these about the same size as the original Shaker Height models?
I think they are. Do you mean the ones that are built there now?
Yes.
Yes, they're in that same neighborhood. Yep,
Okay.
they are.
Thank you.
1,800 square feet, plus or minus. So it appeals to the same price point. People don't need those big giant houses anymore. So this home here is the Parker 2.
I got Parker, yeah.
Do you have the Parker 2?
It's probably Parker 1, but that's all right.
This one was
Parker 2. Parker 2.
That's right.
So the Parker 2 is one that we feature. We've illustrated that it has a potential second floor space that you can just claim. It works nicely. We've shown some windows up there for some nice views. There are views up there that we want to capture. And once again, stone and shakes and clapboard and different textures really add to the curb appeal. They really add to the value of the architecture, the value of the home up there. It sets it apart from the next one. And once again, they all offer the 2-car garage, study, 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, and open living. So it's nice. It's what we're finding that people are demanding right now.
Any questions for him on the Parker too?
On the Parker 2.
Okay, so see, this goes downstairs.
So the last one is the Summers
Well,
2.
it's a downstairs. This is a rec space.
We're looking
This
at
is,
it.
I
Are you
have a
back on
friend
the
that
Parker?
owns
We're
a
still on
house like
Parker
this.
2.
You're still on-
second
That's
floor.
pretty big.
Parker 2 has a rec room down there.
Yes, Parker 2 easily offers a second floor. That stairway is right in the front.
Great.
So for the second floor.
It's finished attic space, but it can easily be converted to a rec space, a theater, whatever, what have you, place to exercise. And again, they don't look like a 2-story home. They're just very, they're nice. A ranch from the road. It's very. It keeps in with the context of the rest of the architecture up there. They complement it.
Questions for her before we move on to next? Okay.
The last one I have up here is the Summers 2.
That's just the summers, the straight.
Here's a good example of how you can take a similar floor plan and completely change the way it looks by changing the roof line. And here we've implemented what's called a hip roof. It's got more French flavors, and it completely changes the way the house looks. Same floor plan, very, very similar floor plan, but very, very different from the outside. And that's what people are asking for. They want to be individual. Again, taking advantage of the stonework, clapboard shakes, some dormers, some arched trim, and it just completely changes the flavor of the home.
Did you consider calling it the Enfield?
No, but we're still in the planning stages, so we can.
Charlie,
Your
just-
I was
request.
just pointing out that it's not Summers, it's an Enfield.
We can
looks
call
like
it the
a-
Enfield if
looks like a nice New England type house, salt blocks.
it's a fun. It's just really fun. It's nice how it's completely different, and it looks different, but really it's a very similar plan than the others.
Any questions for her on that?
Any questions on that one? Once again, 2-car garage, 2 bedrooms, a study, open floor plan, and all of the nice amenities and spacious amenities that people are asking for. This one has a little bit of a front porch so people can sit outside and people watch. I like to do that. All of the plans do, since we've talked, we have found space for optional sunrooms off of the back. People are asking for those spaces, sunrooms, or they might be a screen porch, but some sort of space where people can transition to the outside. So we are planning on offering that. Anybody have any questions on this one?
Hold on, he's still opening.
We'll take that. Yeah, we'll call it the
where'd you
Enfield.
get that one?
We are in the process of sort of figuring out names, so I will take that.
But I colored it in.
Oh, all right.
Oh, you colored it in.
Yeah.
Those are all the base.
I know, that's what I was
Yeah.
worried about.
I don't have any
So-
questions at home.
He didn't have anything to do one night, so he colored the houses
Okay.
in.
Well, he probably did what's there and what's gonna be there. Okay.
Does anybody have any questions on the first 4, the base models? I think you might have seen those, but
No, we didn't see a thing. The ones that they sent us were the ones that are presently built.
I think we sent you everything. I don't know how it got dispersed, but hopefully you've had a chance to maybe look. If you have any
Oh,
questions
you're
on
showing
anything,
us-
That's what I said this afternoon. You have to walk them through everything. So
I'll be happy to walk
when
you
you
through.
say it's the base model, I think what you got to say is, what is it you don't get with the 2
So-
Roman numeral 2 version?
Right.
I know, what's the difference? I was gonna ask that. Because
Right.
like I have the Copley, what's the difference between, let's say, the Copley and the Copley 2?
It's very simple. All of the base models are just 2 bedrooms. There's no study. And they're a little bit tighter footprint.
Okay.
That's it. They're all a different floor plan, and they're all a different elevation, what you see from the front.
How about the square footage of the building?
They're a little bit smaller. We wanted to appeal to a base of people that can afford, we wanted to make it affordable for people.
Okay,
The 2 models are a little bit more, so it appeals to a little bit broader market.
okay.
Yep.
Rich, you can spend all the time drawing. What's questions?
Nothing to do, huh?
So the base models also on the exterior are a little bit simpler in the materials that we've selected. The lines, the massing, it's all a little bit simpler. It appeals to a broad market. The 2 models are a little bit more embellished.
Well, we don't need these.
Right. If somebody wants to select a base model, they don't need a lot of floor plan. They can still select stonework or different materials on the outside to set them apart from their neighbor. But again, 2 bedrooms, 2 full baths, open floor plan, 2-car garage, just a little bit more, a tighter floor plan, that's all.
So I guess what the commission has to keep in mind is if all base models went up, what does the development look like as opposed to a variety? Because if you're approving 4 base models and 4 upper scale models, that leaves that the developer could go in and put in all base models. And so you might really want to go through and look at what the base models look like and talk about materials, because that's basically what you possibly could have if everyone. I'm not saying it will happen, but you have to be prepared for that.
Well, I noticed on and these couple of them I folded up here. This one is on the Summers, that's Summers 2, have exterior materials listed on the plans. I don't see them on the others.
Right.
I might see.
When we submitted the second round, the 2 models, we did submit typical exterior materials. That goes across the board to the base models as well.
So the same materials are on the
Yes,
basic and the twos.
yes. We want it to be,
Yeah, the one thing that's really important to note is that you can put the stone on this one. You could buy a smaller condo, in other words, and then add the stone component to this. It's the same house, same elevation, but maybe this one has stone. Maybe they buy a smaller floor plan and they want the stone. So we can mix this up. And this is what we're seeing in all of our neighborhoods. What we're trying to do is allow the people to customize these and make them individual homes. And I feel like it's a problem. Been very successful on our other projects. We have one up in Northampton. It's the same kind of thing, where people are allowed to mix a different front elevation, different floor plan. We're very good at doing that. But it allows people flexibility and personalizing what they're We are seeing a lot of companies downsizing. For instance, I just built a house with one of these of Staples. They're doing away with all the corporate offices. So he lives in Northampton now, and he commutes to Framingham once or twice a month. But all of their offices, their executives work out of the home. So it's like I say, everybody's got a different lifestyle, a different need, and that's what we're trying to appeal to. The floor plans that are there and the homes that are there are very nice. They're 10 years. You know, that model, that version of it is 10 years old. We don't build that anymore. There's nothing wrong with it, but we don't build that anymore. It's not what people are asking for. And it's very important. We don't want to compete with them, as Jackie said before, and we don't want them competing with us. So if somebody wants to buy a home up there in one of the existing homes, they're not going to buy it. They don't want what we have.
Yeah, right.
What we have, they don't want what's for sale. This is a big project. And you can end up quite often in a situation where instead of being good neighbors, people are starting to get nervous because, well, they're building something up there, and now we've got to compete with them. You get 3 or 4 units to go on the market for a variety of reasons, and all of a sudden, you got to stall in the market. But more than anything, the ability for somebody to come in here and say, this is what I want my home to look like. So you may see that stone on this elevation. I bought a smaller home, but I want the stone, so I'm willing to pay for the stone. It's a trade-off.
But there has to be some sense that the commission has that a base model has at least a minimum of what the materials are, because you're saying typical materials include, but what if they don't?
Well, the base models here are consistent with what's up there already, what's existing. What's up there, they have a small porch, I think, with some brick or some stone on it. This has got cedar shakes, vinyl cedar shakes on this. But it's the same theme.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, so that there's no misunderstanding down the road, is at a minimum, what would the items that you list for materials be on a base model? So we know what a minimum base model gets for materials.
so each model would get a clapboard vinyl siding. They'd get corner boards made out of vinyl. They'd get PVC trim. If it calls for brackets or columns, they would get that as well. But it's a base model, and anything else would be added to,
Well, I
such
think
as
that's
stone or
what
shakes.
he's getting at, that we would want, a base model is a list, let's say on a sheet, so that it's in the file, that a base model has XXX, and that to I don't know, the name of the house, the Copley or whatever it is, a Summers, basic Summers, this is what the materials are. Anything else is going to be additional, and that's what he's after, or that's what we'd want. That's what was there before,
Right.
and it would be the same with the more expensive ones, the twos. This is a material that you get at no cost. Well, the cost of the house that
Right.
comes with the house. And then anything else would be extra, but
Right.
you've got to have the list of materials for that, which is the protection for the buyer.
Right, with
be
the
on our
exception of the
file.
stone, what you have on that list in the bottom right corner of your sheets is what we're going to
But
offer
they're
for
not
all
on
8
the
models.
basics.
I think what the chair is trying to point out is,
All right, I'm
and this is a
sorry.
perfect example, you build a stellar community. However, the gentleman who got the approval for Shaker Heights turned around and sold it to someone else. So he wasn't compelled to do what the original contractor said was going to be done. It was lovely, they did a nice job, but that's why the chair is saying, and the planner is suggesting, that you have a list. This is what's going to be on, and we all know that, you can request extras, but if you don't want any extra and you just want the base model, this is exactly what you will get.
Right, right,
And then that would be in the file.
right. It's what we've illustrated on here on your list. Yes, we would not veer from that.
Right.
And if, for example, nobody asked for stone, even the more expensive models and the base models would have a consistency of material where you wouldn't necessarily know. So,
Right.
yeah.
But it's not written down anywhere.
We go through great lengths to make sure that that is consistent with all of our projects, and we will make sure that that is consistent
Well,
with
what
the
we
stone.
want you to do then, and we probably have to continue it, is, and you could have it by next week, is give us, again, let's say the Copley, this is the material that goes with the Copley, this is, and list, and for the basic building. And then the Copley 2, this is what comes with the basic building. Additional material is whatever you work out with us.
Stone or whatever, yeah.
Okay, well, that's with all, whatever number we have here now, I don't know where we're at. 4?
No, we're happy to provide that. We can list
It's
that
in
on this
that
plan.
pile somewhere.
Okay, it's in the
List that
pile.
on this plan as well,
It's
but
in
it
the
is important
pile.
to note that with the exception of the stone, they're all the same. What you're seeing here, this is the Parker
Well,
2.
I was reading them, but it doesn't,
We're very consistent in what we do.
I understand
Even a
that.
base
He just
model.
wants to see it on
I
that print as
understand
well as
that.
this one.
What we do is keep a record, and if we run into troubles, they always come down to planning office, and they'll look at the records and say, this is what it says, and this is what you're held to.
We'll just put this
I'm
block
looking
here, the typical exterior
They're just gonna-
materials.
They'll put that
this
on
plan.
both.
No, yeah, but I want to see the statement. Where is one of the ones that do the statement?
The twos have the materials. Yeah, right, but the base units
It
don't.
says typical, I don't want typical. That leaves in too much. For Maple 2, this is a material, it'll be in Maple 2, not a typical exterior materials, but these are the materials for the Maple 2. If that's it and doesn't need the typical, then fine, but put it on a separate list. And the maps, you don't have to correct those, but leave out the word typical and just put Maple
Yeah,
2,
no, I see where you're
these
going.
are exterior materials.
I see where you're going with that.
And
The
do
word
that
typical
for-
there, what we're implying there, I understand what you're saying, we're glad to make that change. What we're implying there is people can move those materials around. Somebody might want to put shake all the way across the front. You know, it's
Well,
gotta be
that's
the
all
same.
right. I mean, it
No, I'll do
doesn't
that.
say they can't move them, but this is a material you're gonna get. Then anything else is extra. And same with the basic models, and that's all, for all the models you have, and that takes care of that, solves that problem. I had another question, I think Rich is sort of gone ahead already, unless you want,
Yeah, I guess, just moving on in terms of, I was looking at your different phases that you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing a phase 3, a phase 4, and a phase 5. And, I guess from what, and I don't want to, maybe you could, from what I understand, you're going to put all your infrastructures in everywhere, so that all the infrastructure goes in initially for the entire project?
Yeah, all the infrastructure is currently in.
It's in there, and
Yeah,
all the
it's there.
monuments are in there, and all the,
The only thing
utilities on
that's
the...
left to do there is a top coat of asphalt, and I believe that's the extent of
All
the
right.
work.
Because I was looking at just one portion,
I
you
don't
know,
know,
between phase.
There's a little bit of infrastructure work left to do in terms of utilities. The electrical plan is complete. A lot of the conduit work is in, the silos are in. There's some transformer pads that are not in, which requires just some wire be pulled through the existing conduit. So there's no excavation in terms of what needs to be completed for infrastructure. That part's already done. And my comments about what needs to be done are limited to those last couple of phases.
I think there was some conversation at the ART with the water company and yourself as far as what needed to be done as well.
I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't know what you're talking
No, we had a conversation. I
No,
understand.
no,
what
the,
I
you,
understand what he's looking for.
Now, since he asked, are
That's just part
you're
of the
going to
construction.
build in phases? In other words, you'll finish phase, whatever, I don't know what phases are, how many are done? 2?
Oh, that's a very good question. The way that this is, we're going to market this is we're going to open up all 3 cul-de-sacs. So somebody may choose to be on this one versus that one. You know, what's interesting about this project is the 3 cul-de-sacs are very different. So somebody who chooses to be, you know, up in here wouldn't necessarily want to be down here and vice versa. These lots are very flat. These lots all have walkouts. These lots have views. These lots, the back side of them is high, the front is low. These lots are a little bit.
So you won't be offering lots within one section, you'll be
No.
offering lots in all your
All of our
property?
projects, that's the way we do them all. Somebody can come in and they can pick their own site. And, you know, not all of these floor plans are necessarily going to, you know, look right on a specific lot. So it's
Oh,
more-
that's,
more
no,
oriented
that's
to
very
community.
true, you're right.
well, if those are changes you're contemplating, you have to amend your application because your application only asks for the changes in the house elevations, and other than that, you are continuing along with the phasing plan of the original thing. So when you come back, you should indicate if you're changing that.
Because that's why I asked, he was building in phases.
The other thing I would suggest is that the way that your application reads, you only get 2.5 years to completely finish your development. And if you wanted to submit and ask for brand-new approval, you'd get 5 years.
Can they amend their application?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They can amend their application.
that's-
Also, what the gentleman just put up is not part of the approved plans. It's a compilation plan that somebody did at some point, but it was never approved by this commission. So that particular map that's there. The town engineer also is looking for where the various models are going on the thing. So I mean, at this point, it looks like we almost need a site plan of the remaining 38, saying where they're going and in relationship to elevation. If we're putting units with basements, what's the contours of the elevations and so forth? We don't have that at the present time. So, and that would be something that would be done at the building permit level anyhow.
Right, that isn't something we provide in the permitting process. That would all be part of
That's what I'm saying, but this is what the commission approved originally for this development. So if you're changing the houses and the footprint of the houses and what they're looking for, then in terms of where they're going and the elevations, and the town engineer is saying he would like to know what the grades are for the various models that you're putting in terms of where you're putting them. So if you're saying I'm sticking with the original plans that were approved, way back when, that would be one thing. But if you're now saying it's not phasing and we're going to do it all at once, and these are not, I'm not trying to raise obstacles here. I'm trying to say let's get everything you want to do on the table so you get one approval, and let's give you 5 years and not 2.5.
Right, yeah.
And because
Roger, now, when we did approvals, we didn't pick houses for certain areas. It was open, that I recall.
Oh, I don't either.
the plans that were distributed to you, they do show, where well, The town engineer has raised that point at this point. I'll go back to
I
that.
don't recall that.
So I had a conversation with this
Because I
gentleman
would
over here.
support his theory in terms of, I'm looking at just the grading that happens between, I guess on phase 4, there's house number 67 on Watch Hill Drive, which is approximately, I think, like 45 feet higher than the house directly below it in phase 1, and they're only 90 feet apart. So, just from face of foundation to face of foundation of building, you have 90 feet of horizontal space and 45 feet of vertical height. And that's a 2-on-1 slope without any flat area around the house. So it's one of those kind of things where, I think that, it could get a little dicey in some of these areas. And possibly what the town engineer wants to ensure is that, when you do start construction, that you don't maybe bite off more than you can chew because of the grades don't seem to work out that well.
Yeah, no, this is very similar to another project we're doing with grades that move all over the place. I'm happy to meet with them. We can walk through that. We don't know specifically what model's going where. We're going to stay consistent with the building envelopes that are up there, the spacing of the homes. All of that is accounted for in these plans that we're proposing to. As far as the grade change and stuff, it's pretty much happened.
But sir, that is the requirement. That's the purview of this commission, to look at your grade elevations and where you're putting building footprints, and that's what they're asking for.
I understand that.
I didn't know that we did, but that maybe was part of it. Wouldn't that be part of the building permit, though, to say that?
No, normally when you approve a subdivision, you have the elevation
Yeah, I
grades
know.
and where the house is going, and that's what we're missing here.
Oh, the total elevation, yeah.
Yeah, that would be an exception for me. I've never done it that way. On all the projects I've done, I've never had the elevations on a plan before.
Oh,
That would
we
be-
have
That would
had
be part of this whole thing,
elevations.
going to an engineer. And,
But I didn't know we had the houses.
I mean, we've got to work off an existing road, so we have an elevation to go from.
Yeah. Well, I guess you better sit with your town
The
engineer.
comment to this commission by the town engineer, he would like to see where the houses are going
Okay.
vis-à-vis the elevations, and so
go
Yeah,
ahead.
on the original submit, I guess, the drawings for the original hearing, I guess, public hearing 2323, there are a series of elevations that are indicated on the larger scale plans. And that's how I found, the 45 feet and 90 feet, because they do have an indication right on these drawings as to what you're going to be, where it's going. So what we're anticipating, that you're going to meet these
Exactly.
exact
We're not going
elevations.
to change from that.
All right, so
Be
that.
consistent with what's there, yeah.
All right, and so that, again, as long as you're not maneuvering the buildings away and that they're sort of all in the same location, because the grading is shown on these drawings as to what is anticipated of
You
happening,
get in projects that are this tight, you pretty much have to work with what you've got there.
right? Because,
These are
again,
very
when you
clear.
look at these drawings, you can sort of see the steep slope that comes up,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
it comes up really quick, so, all right.
But no, that was all worked out, in the original plans. These units are fairly tight together. We would have to stay consistent with that. We wouldn't want to deviate from that.
Yeah, and I guess the only thing that happens is that, along some of these areas, as the building grows and you're adding, a porch or a deck or an extension, you're actually encroaching further and further onto some of the downslope. So obviously, in a condition where the grades are really critical, you'd have to actually stay with a smaller unit, but those are the houses that have the best view, so that, those are the ones that can afford the best view and the best house. And unfortunately, that might not actually mix together where, the guy who can afford it all of a sudden can't get it because of the grades that are going on there.
Right. No, that's a good point. Some of these porches will go off the back and some of them will go off the side for exactly that reason. There are some that you just can't go off the back. Some of those grades drop very quickly, as you can see on that topo
Yeah,
map.
they do.
That's just not possible to go off the back. I think it would be 18 feet up in the air.
Well,
Doesn't look right.
can we use the old grades if that's what they're staying with?
Yes.
well, as you go to build a house, and you're going to need a site plan that shows where the house is going and what the grades are.
Right.
And so whether you do 38 individual plot plans or you do one overall plan, and you submit one overall plan, I mean, I would think the commission would want to see one overall plan because it says how one slope relates to the other and where retaining walls are and where retaining
In other
walls
words, you
aren't.
say that-
If you look at 38 individual plot plans for a house and it doesn't relate to what's on either side of it or in back of it, you're really not seeing what you need to see.
Take the one that Rich just talked about. Then you should say for that particular plot that a Copley 2 should not go there. Or you should say what should go there. So that's what you're saying.
Right, and if you think of the development we have in the northern part of town, that multiple buildings are going up. When this commission approved that, you approved smaller buildings here and larger buildings there and so forth based on that exact same premise. And you looked at the elevation grades and you determined, because, your regulation wouldn't allow a 2-to-1 slope, for example, so we would have to make sure that you weren't creating a 2-to-1 slope in order to add a porch.
But it was basically the certain type of building.
You're basically looking at taking the elevation plan and verifying that it wasn't changed over the years when the roads went in and the utilities went in, and then you're putting a box in which you're saying this is the box in which you could put a house in.
Yeah, all right, okay. Okay, we got that. You done, Rich? Okay, thank you for that. Any more questions before we go to the public, or any more presentation? Have you got now what, I guess we'll be extending it a little bit, but you know what you're after, what we're after?
Yep.
Okay. If you're done, I'll open it to the public unless you're, commission, any questions, further questions for him? Okay, then, if you will, allow the public to move up. Anyone in the public would like to speak in favor or against this application? Please come forward, give your
Sir,
name
if you
and
could
Sure.
get up and
they'll vacate. If you'll come up forward, use the microphone, and your name and address, just for the record, please. You have a chance, ladies and gentlemen, to, if you wish to respond to anything that you get from the public tonight, and to respond, we'd appreciate it too.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
My name is Richard Raimondi. I live at 19 Meacham Drive in Shaker Heights. I am also the president of the Shaker Heights Homeowners Association. I will tell you that we did meet with the Pecoy Homes and the Shaker Heights Board of Directors, as well as the residents of Shaker Heights, are very much in anticipation of them getting started up there. We've had a development up there. I've lived there for 9 years now. We had a development with a very good set of plans, but the plans are stagnant. The plans are 10 years old. The development is stagnant for that reason. So the values of our homes are now dropping because the development is not moving forward like it should be. Having been an architectural designer for 9 years prior to my current position, which is 40 years working for a major construction company in Massachusetts, I will tell you that I'm quite familiar with the designs that they presented to us. The designs not only present a good fit for our community, but they also present a good fit for bringing more people into our community, which is part of what the problem is that we were a little pigeonholed with what we had there. We did request them to use the access off of Moody Road for the reasons that they had stated.
As I said, I've lived there for 9 years. I walk that street every single day, and I walk it at all times of day. And I'll tell you that I'm much more comfortable walking on Moody Road than I'm on Taylor Road. Taylor Road has much more traffic, and the traffic moves much quicker. As I said, being familiar with the construction equipment that they will need to bring in and out of there, as I said, you maybe wouldn't want to bring a low bed in there with a dozer on it. But for their everyday traffic, I think it would be better for our community and better for the safety of the people both on Taylor Road and on Moody Road for them to come in the direction they come in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else to speak in favor or against? Anyone else to speak in favor or against? Last call to speak in favor or against. Roger, you'll be working with them on the specifics on,
Yeah, I would like to see the application amended and make it a full approval, because the more you listen to it, I mean, it's no longer phase 3, 4, and 5 of the same development. It's almost like another development going behind the first, even though
well, it is, right, yeah.
And so, and I think, 2.5 years is a little tight to get 38 houses built. I'm not saying they couldn't do it. So, and if they want to make other changes,
Well, it
other
also
than the-
affects the bonding, because I think we bonded by phases for this.
right, and so basically, there wouldn't be phase 3, 4, and 5. It would be 138 lot
Right.
senior residential development, whatever you want to call it. Phase 2 of the original Shaker Heights, maybe, I don't know. But I think that it's a good sign for Enfield that we have a development company like Picoy coming in here and wanting
Absolutely.
to invest and build 38 houses. And, we have a few housekeeping details, but I think that it's a good thing, and we want to get it off on the right foot. And I do think one map with elevations on it and boxes showing where the houses are going is going to save them 38 individual maps when they try to build each house, and they'll be able to look at it in one shot coherently, see where there might be potential issues. So it seems as though that if we continue it for 2 weeks, we should be able to come back in 2 weeks with what we need.
All right, what do you think? Do you got?
That's fine.
You can? You get together with Roger or who's?
Yeah, that's fine.
town
Call the
engineer?
office, and whoever, either myself or Raquel or Jen will work. We'll get it done.
Who's the engineer who wanted it?
Oh, you mean John Cabibbo?
Oh, John?
Yeah.
Can John attend or?
John, we'll get John in
You
on the
get
meeting
John
as
in,
well.
so let's not hold him up and get him going. Okay,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
It sounds like there's a couple of concerns, and one is the sight line on Moody Road, if vehicles are exiting onto Moody Road, and the other is a concern about the weight of the trucks coming onto the site. So I wonder if a compromise solution to both problems would be to use that fire access road as an entrance only. This would take the weight off the already paved roads, and it would be less hazardous for vehicles driving from Moody Road onto the site than coming out. So they could exit on Taylor Road but enter from Moody Road.
That's a possibility, I don't know. You can run it by the police department, but
And we'll get a report from the police department.
that may be a solution or a help anyhow. Anything further? Okay, who's going to make the motion for me?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
if I can find it. I'll make a motion that we continue public hearing 2868 to our next meeting on June 15th.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Mr. Chairman, would this be an,
I guess it will be, because we got a lot of material here to straighten out. Now, yeah, okay. Roger, they went, I don't know,
Whoever folds these drawings,
got a lot of paper here.
they should fold them with the names out. No, I know, no, but when they deliver it to us, they should always be folded with the names out.
Okay,
Yeah, because otherwise,
You
thank
did
you,
good.
I marked
I'm glad you're up there, it's great. It's a nice area,
oh, do we have like a
it's a nice little area.
5-minute break?
5-minute break.
Maybe.
I hope you don't,
Okay. These drawings are mine. Put my name on it. I want mine. I want my own.
The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission back to order. Secretary, please take the roll.
Charles Durin,
Here.
Elizabeth Ballard,
Here,
Nicholas Lefakis,
Here.
Charles Ladd,
Here.
Mary Scott, absent, Richard Suzak is here, Linda DeGray,
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here,
Linda DeGray and Jenny Higley will be sitting in for the absent commissioners. The applicant has come from the first item, public hearing 2866, I understand,
Yeah.
is in the audience.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we reconsider public hearing 2866 with the fact that the applicant has arrived.
No, the motion was made
Oh.
to rescind the motion
Right.
to take up at
Okay,
the
Motion
next.
to continue.
right. So I'll make it that we reconsider the continuation, that we continue it today instead of the June 15th meeting.
second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, now, if the applicant for 2866 is here, would they please come forward?
They were the ones who were here last week.
Yeah.
Didn't want to get shut down again.
Please introduce yourselves and explain it to us, what it is you're going to do or plan to do.
Say your name.
My name is Rachna Mistry. I live in Enfield, 12 Winter Way.
And my name is Kamlesh Mistry. I'm her husband. And we are planning to open up a liquor store at 2 Shaker in Enfield, Connecticut, AKA 199 Elm Street.
Now, Roger, I asked you, do we have the liquor licenses to give?
Yes.
Okay, then let's proceed. We got that cleared?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Anything else you want to tell us?
No, sir, we're excited.
Well, I'm sure you would, but you got an opportunity to tell all those people out there something about anything about your
We-
business?
Sure. We also own a liquor store here in town, K&R Liquors. We've owned it over 10 years. And we also reside in Enfield for over 12 years. We have no infractions through the state of Connecticut. And we decided it would be time to expand, and we like the town of Enfield a lot. Yeah.
Where is your present location?
It's at 552 Hazard Avenue.
Okay.
In Enfield.
Linda, you had a question.
Yeah, I was reading your letter, and you talked about hours of operations, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., but you have no Saturday hours?
No,
I think you need
no,
to.
Saturday hours would be the same as from Monday through.
So it should be Monday through Friday, Saturday
Saturday.
are from 10 to 9?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Any other questions?
I just had a little concern. I'm very happy that you're looking to expand. It's wonderful to see people interested in Enfield. The bank that you'll be in the same building with, I know there's more than adequate parking, but the bank that you'll be in, it's very busy there. And I don't know, this doesn't stop anything, but I just wanted to voice my concerns that the patrons of the bank might not be able to get in and out as much as they can. So you might want to watch that. That's not a condition or anything, it's just an observation.
You're absolutely correct. The owner, the landlord, had raised that issue with the bank prior to me, what I mean, asking that I'm going to go in there. So he did ask them before we did.
Thank you.
Yes.
There's some questions I had written down. Was handicap parking is the furthest from your building. That's down by the bank, which probably should be, but now a handicapped person not going to the bank, there's not really a handicap spot that's close to your building. Not all handicapped people are in wheelchairs, and I don't know how you'll handle it because you don't have that, I didn't notice that amount of parking in front there. To be able to fit in another handicap in there, because then if you have two, one at each store, you only end up with two left, I think. Is that right, Rich?
Right here,
I think there's,
yeah. And the two for the bank.
yeah, no, I had it marked. Yeah, yeah. So, I don't know if you could work with somebody, you got two down by the bank. Then the liquor store is, well, the liquor store, right, but this probably should be right, like in here would be a straight shot. It doesn't,
Well, that's a walkway.
yeah, I know. Yeah, or this one would be better, actually.
He wants to drink a Hardy.
I like to, being handicapped, I like to, yeah. But okay, well, you'd have to walk, I guess, or people will take this other, anyway, all right, take the unmarked one. So the police I had down to, the fire department had some questions. You don't have a dumpster dedicated to cardboard. Now, are you responsible for that, or is your landlord?
I believe I'm gonna be responsible for that, and we're gonna be putting it probably right where the Walgreens dumpster is in the back, right where theirs is. In the back of Walgreens.
The other one that they're interested in, and I had written down because I know that they always are, is what do you do about return bottles, or aren't you going to take them? Now, I know some don't take bottles back.
No, for me, it would be ample space enough in the back to take the return bottles.
So,
They don't allow outdoor storage though, so where are you gonna put them? You can't just stack them up in the aisle.
No, not in the aisle, in the
Inside.
rear, where there's a door opening in the rear.
Oh, inside the building?
Yes, inside the building. It doesn't show the drawing, but there's a door in the rear, which opens up, has an access to the building. So we have like a delivery that we can take in and out from there. Draw a door right here.
so those are the questions from the fire department. Health department was all set, and the police had no problems.
Planning department.
This is Taylor Road, which I need to. The planning department,
Planning department with the future dedication.
You asked me,
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, about that
you're
future
right, out
dedication.
front, but that's the owner of the thing. I didn't believe it's them.
Well, it's
There's
just-
a section that's on the map that's supposed to be dedicated to the town. And I don't know if it's their answer to answer why it hasn't been dedicated.
Well, see, the map says future dedication to the town, and so we went back and looked up when the Walgreens was approved. And the condition when the Walgreens was approved, and there's a note that there was, that the triangled piece shall be deeded to the town if and when there is a proposal to redo the intersection. So I'm not really sure what that is.
Well, as I explained on the phone, what the thought of the commission at the time was that if and when the state, because they're both, Elm Street's a state road, I believe Shaker is Shaker also?
Yep.
So they're both state roads. That if and when they decided to realign that, which it probably should be, and they line it up, and the idea was, and you'll see that if you took a straight line across, you'd line it right straight up with Ganey Terrace. And that was the reason for it, that they could go into a different type of intersection with one traffic light controlling it. And that was the thought of, and the reason for the dedication.
No, I think it's a good idea. I understood that part, but when I said I don't understand what it meant, is like, from a planning standpoint, you either donate land to the town and transfer it, or whatever. I've never seen a map that has a future property line on it, because it basically, it says to the property owner, which is not these folks, you can't use this area over here, and yet they're paying taxes on it. So that little strip, I don't know, and it's.
Maybe they'd like to donate it right now.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, would it be the desire of the commission? Because, I mean, first of all, the commission can recommend, but I believe the town council would have to actually accept it. So
That's
as a separate matter, not for the tenant, but
Well, that's
I would think maybe we might want to raise this with the appropriate committee of the council as to whether they would be amenable to accepting that piece of property, and let's obtain it now, because there's really nothing that says that. I mean, what if they go build a building on it at some point before you decide to build the road?
Right now, they use it for all public signs.
I know. I mean, it's kind of it's almost like a little public announcement
Yes,
area.
it is. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
the old
so,
town green where you put up the notices.
Right. So it would be kind of nice if that was transferred, and so. But I didn't know what the wishes of the commission were.
Well, the commission back then was that it was, and I'm surprised that it hadn't, but
Yeah.
that's the way it ended up. What's the rest of you think?
I think if it's on the approved plan, and it was the intention of the commission at that time to have it, to get it into the town's hands, that we should just follow through with it.
It would be a separate matter. We'd bring it back before the commission as a separate item, and then
Right.
it would
Exactly.
go to the town council for their consideration.
Absolutely,
Okay.
but that's not his business. Okay. Where are we? Any questions for the applicant? I'm looking for conditions. Do we have any, except hours of operation? Did you put any together, Roger?
The only site-specific condition, Mr. Chairman, was the applicant addressed the concerns of the fire marshal, and I think they've indicated they will do that. So
And the one should be added on the hours of operation.
the hours of operation.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
What number, is that on there? Well, it doesn't belong there, but,
Yeah, it was after that,
Just put it as part of the site-specific.
in some people's books.
where do you want to put it, Roger?
Is your mic on?
Okay.
Is your mic on?
Sorry about that.
Jeff, as it is.
Through Saturday.
So renumber, what would be, number 14? And renumber after that?
You can just put the site-specific as A and B, and if you want, just add a B. Just make a 7B, because that way we don't have to renumber everything.
Oh, I didn't see that, I'm sorry, okay. So those are the hours of operation.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we accept public hearing 2866 in accordance with the, I guess, the town
Step.
planner recommendations, and whereas the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission has received a special use permit application for a new liquor store located at 2 Shaker Road, map 64, lot 70, business local BL zone, and whereas a public hearing was held for public hearing 2866 on June 1st, 2017, now here therefore be it resolved that the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission hereby approves public hearing 2866 for a new liquor store located at 2 Shaker Road according to the below reference plans with the following conditions. And we are going to amend the conditions to add a 7B condition under the site-specific conditions for the time of operation to also include Saturday. And
Hours of operation aren't listed here. Do you want the whole thing
okay, so,
stated?
all right. It will read that the store will be open from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. from Monday through Saturday, and from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. And that's part of 25 conditions.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion.
Did you
Yes.
close the hearing?
No, I didn't even know, I didn't open it to the public, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We got off onto this,
Yeah.
getting interrupted. All right,
Sorry.
yeah, we might as well blame you. All right.
Everyone
Anyone
else
in the public
does.
would like to speak in favor or against this application? Anyone in the public would like to speak in favor or against the application? Last call to speak in favor or against the application. Then I'll close public hearing
2866.
2866. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd sort of might want to make the same motion, but not necessarily have to repeat everything.
Okay,
And I still second it.
all righty. Now any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. 600. Okay, now back to.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Glad you're doing well to expand. It's good, very good. Okay, Taylor Road. 95 Elm Street, public hearing 2869. Secretary, please take the roll and read the legal notice.
The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 1st, 2017, beginning at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers to 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application. Public hearing 2869, 95 Elm Street, Suite 3, special use permit for retail package store, owner KIOP Enfield LP, applicant Leon S. Chu, map 43, lot 1, commercial business regional BR zone. Charles Duran.
Here.
Elizabeth Ballard.
Here.
Nicholas Lefakis.
Here.
Charles Ladd.
Here.
Mary Scott, absent. Richard Suzak here. Linda DeGray.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Linda DeGray and Ginny Higley will be sitting in for the absent commissioners. Applicant here, oh, right on time. So, anyway, please give your name and address for the record, please, and
Paula Chu, 11 Deer Run, Enfield.
Leon Chu, 11 Deer Run, Enfield.
okay, and tell us and the public what it is you want to do.
We currently reside at Suite 14 on 95 Elm Street, Enfield Discount Wines and Liquors, and our lease is going to be ending this year, and we got a pretty attractive offer to move to a larger space, basically in the same plaza, what used to be Falsetti Music, 4 doors over into the larger space. So we like to apply for the permit to move to the larger space.
Questions from the commission?
Seems like a good reason to move.
Yep.
I was glad they're doing good.
The fire department had some comments.
Okay.
Will the storage container located in the parking lot be relocated to new site? And then in parentheses, is this used for bottle return storage?
That storage container is not ours. We don't have a storage container behind
Okay.
there.
And where will cardboard recycle dumpster be located?
They will be located behind the back door. There's areas where there are existing dumpsters And there are clear signs that mark whether they're cardboard or other types of refuse. And the landlord provides that service.
Now, the same thing, because the fire department's usually, and she hasn't mentioned it, interested in the storage of bottles, or don't you accept returns?
We do accept returns. We have a back room that's not on part of the sales floor, which we will accept and store the empty bottles temporarily until the distributors come and pick them up.
Okay. Is that, yeah, the number, that takes care of item 7. The only thing I notice on here too is the hours of operation. Now, your hours of operation are basically the same as the last gentleman that was here.
A little bit different. It should be on the application narrative. It is Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. through 10 p.m., and on Sunday, 10 a.m. through 6 p.m.
Right, okay. So that should go in item 7 there, when the motion's made. Now, any further questions from the commission? Oh, yeah, well. Anyone in the audience would like to speak in favor or against this application? Anyone in the audience to speak in favor or against the application? Last call to speak in favor or against this application. Question, Roger, we have the license to get, oh, this is a transfer, so that, no, it's not an additional license. Okay, then I'll close public hearing 2869.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we accept the draft resolution for the commission consideration as prepared by the Town Planning Commission agency. Whereas the Enfield Planning Zoning Commission has received a special use permit application for a liquor store to relocate from one retail space to another retail space in the same shopping plaza located at 95 Elm Street, map 43, Lot 1, Business Regional BR Zone. And whereas a public hearing was held for public hearing 2869 on June 1st, 2017. Now therefore be it resolved that the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission hereby approves public hearing 2869, allowing a liquor store to relocate from one retail space to another retail space in the same shopping plaza located at 95 Elm Street with the following conditions. And what we want to do is amend site-specific condition number 7 to also include a 7B for the hours of operation to be Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and from Sunday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
No, 10.
I mean, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., I'm sorry. And that's part of 25 conditions.
Second.
Motion's made, seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous. Great. You're all set, I hope.
Thank you very much.
May I make a suggestion for the next one to make a motion, and for brevity, is just to say to accept the resolution dated June 1st from
Right, sure.
planning, well, the town planner. With so many conditions, it'll save your voice and save some.
You did it next.
Okay. We should have more like that, Roger. Short, quick.
2 of them.
Coffee house.
What do we want,
I
2870?
think 2870. Okay, public hearing 2870, 11 Enfield Street. And Secretary, please take the legal roll, and legal,
Notice.
read the legal
You're doing
notice and
it
take
too.
the,
The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 1st, 2017, beginning at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application. Public hearing 2870, 11 Enfield Street, special use permit for a coffee shop and expansion of a non-conforming building. Owner David J. Poggi, Jr., applicant Enfield Coffee House LLC, John Slater, map 35, lot 180, commercial local BL zone. And all these legal notices were printed in the Journal Enquirer on May 20th, 2017, and May 22nd, 2017. Just for the record. Charles Duran.
Here.
Elizabeth Ballard.
Here.
Nicholas Lefakis.
Here.
Charles Ladd.
Here.
Mary Scott is absent. Rich Suzak is here. Linda DeGray.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Commissioner DeGray and Higley will be sitting in for the vacant chairs. Gentlemen,
We ready to go?
introduce yourselves and
Sure. Good evening, Commissioners. Attorney Andrew Abanowitz, representing Enfield Coffee House LLC, and together with me is
Peter, okay. Peter DeMalley, I'm president of Design Professionals Incorporated at 21 Jeffrey Drive, South Windsor, Connecticut.
Jonathan Slater, looking to be the owner of the coffee house.
I'm Barry Clark with Design Professionals, also in South Windsor.
Good. Again, Peter DeMalley, I'm president of Design Professionals, and the applicant, of course, is 3J's Coffee House with Jonathan Slater to our rear, just introduced himself. There are some other members of our development team here present tonight. Pat Mancuso is right here. He's waving to you. He's a principal in Capital Studio Architects out of East Hartford, Connecticut, and they're the architects who have been engaged for the project. And we have submitted, as you know, a special use permit application for the development known as 3J's Coffee House. The subject site is, of course, the former Angie State Line Wine and Liquors at 11 Enfield Street. That's the east side of Route 5, Enfield Street, diagonally across from Connecticut Avenue and mid-block between Booth Street. And I'm not sure whether you'd identify it all the time as No Street or Knox Street.
it's Knox.
Knox, okay, because there are a lot of maps that call it the other
Is
name.
that right?
Yeah, I
'Cause I-
actually have one with me if you'd like to see it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so we'll go with Knox tonight. Thank you very
Okay.
much. This building has been unoccupied for several years. If you've driven by, you've noticed that. It's an old and tired red one-story building with 1,346 square feet. It's in the BL zoning district, which is the appropriate zoning for what we're looking for tonight. The building is only 2.6 feet from the front property line, and it's not conforming. That built under different standards at a different era. The roof and concrete stairs do, at this present time, slightly go over the line. It's between Longmeadow Motors, which is, of course, partially in Longmeadow, and also Rinaldi's Italian Restaurant, just to the south of us. To the east of us is the R33 zone, way in the back. All around us otherwise is a BL zone that's across the street to the west. To the north, where Longmeadow Motors is, to the south, where you have Rinaldi's and other businesses. Diagonally across the street in Longmeadow is the Pride gas station. You can see, just looking right across the street, with a convenience store. We have observed, I think, at least 3 vacant buildings besides ours in this immediate vicinity, and we hope to change that around, turn that around by our beautiful development. Just for presenting it, the area in front of the building, by the way, that was just walking around. The area in front of the building, within the Route 5 right-of-way, is paved and is devoid of landscaping and has provided vehicular access to the front entrance and to the site's parking. So it's basically one large open curb cut. Other than planter beds, pavement surrounds the building, and the existing parking area is not striped, nor does it have required handicap space. There's a lawn area to the rear, 5 feet wide lawn strips on the north and south sides of the perimeter that's adjacent to the Longmeadow Motors and adjacent to Rinaldi's. There's, to the extreme rear of the property, is a stockade fence and with vegetation all over it, substantially grown up.
It sure is.
Very much so. And that's along the entire length of our east perimeter, and there some, then some. The undersized property is non-conforming to lot size. Normally in that zone, as you know, is 30,000 square feet, and we're at just over 21,000 square feet. And also to lot width, normally 150 feet, we're at 124.7 feet. Again, that's non-conforming as well, pre-existing condition. The applicant proposes to adaptively reuse and expand the existing building to establish this 3J's Coffee House. They've engaged Capital Studio Architects, I mentioned just behind me, Pat Mancuso and his partner David Holmes, to transform the existing building and 1,372 square foot building addition into a beautiful 2,718 square foot, built 54-seat, state-of-the-art, with casual atmosphere coffee house use. It's not to be associated with any chain. It's going to be family-owned. It doesn't have what you often see at coffee establishments, drive-through, and it is featuring New England architectural styles, and Pat Mancuso will be going through that in a little while. Just for giving you an idea about you have some plans, but for the interior layout, the entrance is basically centered where it is now. It'll stay there. To the front left will be the kitchen. In front of that will be counter space for dispensing coffee, beverages, some food products, light food, and the like. And then to the right will be seating. Going back to the rear, it opens up in the back. There'll be a fireplace, and the idea is casual seating. People can come in here, enjoy coffee, something to eat in the morning, lunchtime, be able to come in as well, and through the evening hours. So there will be a couple of new bathrooms installed. The whole interior is going to look completely different, and it'll be a beautiful, casual atmosphere establishment as we go forward, with your blessing. The front entrance is going to have a new set of stairs, a landing, and an awning. Pat will get into that in a moment. Of necessity, the public sidewalk will be replaced to accommodate this entrance. A secondary entrance with handicap ramp is provided on the north side. The floor elevation of the coffee house is about 2.5 feet higher than the surrounding ground, so we obviously have to put in a handicap ramp to do that. The existing building never really had much in the way of handicapped access. We're proposing a total of 21 parking spaces, with 21 required with 3 employees. 10 along the south side and 11 to the rear, with a handicapped accessible van space conveniently opposite the handicap ramp, which will again be on the north side of the building. At the suggestion of the North Thompsonville Fire Chief, the northerly drive will be 20 feet wide, and it will be one-way, just that part of it. It'll be a one-way fire lane. Per his suggestion, Barry Clark, who's with me, conferred with him. All other drives will be 24 feet wide and two-way. That's on the south side and the east side of the building. At the suggestion of the Director of Planning, Mr. Bryan is here to my left. The paved area out front within the Route 5 right-of-way will be transformed into 2 defined curb cuts with 3 landscaped islands representing 159 square feet. That's to the north. In the middle, 1,643 square feet. And then to the south, 524 square feet, north to south of landscaping, new landscaping, or a total of 2,326 square feet of new landscaping. Landscaping in that area includes PJM rhododendrons, which of course will be flowering in the spring, daylilies, which will be flowering throughout the summer, stone crop, which is an autumn perennial, flowers in the autumn, and also ornamental grasses. Foundation plantings out front include short arborvitae and ornamental grasses. Additional landscaping is proposed around the building perimeter with more flowering shrubs, ornamental grasses, and perennials. The east side of the building includes 2 flowering plum trees, which will stay narrow and short. We need that in that location. Our landscape architect's design, that's Benjamin Wheeler, who's a registered landscape architect in the state of Connecticut, also includes a substantial 20 feet wide buffer planting area to supplement the existing stockade fence and vegetation to the rear. It's abutting the R33 zone. 35 feet is normally required. We're asking for a waiver, a 10-foot waiver to 25 feet. The buffer landscaping that's along that entire east side still meets the requirements of a Type C buffer as required in your Section 10.20B, uppercase B, when a business district such as the BL abuts a residential zone. The buffer includes 3 types of shade trees as required. We have maples, zelkova, which is similar to an elm but not subject to the Dutch elm disease, and sweet gum. Flowering trees include serviceberry. You see those white flowers in the spring. Tree lilac and dogwood, along with flowering and berry-producing shrubs, and spruce trees, the evergreen trees on the northeast and southeast corners at the each end of the buffer area. Per section 10.10.7B, lowercase III, we have one canopy tree for every 5 parking spaces. So on the north side, you'll observe that we have 3 linden trees, and on the south side, you'll observe that we have 4 linden trees. A dumpster enclosure with concrete pads proposed at the southeast corner of the parking lot. Present condition is they have no pad, no landscaping, screening whatsoever. Arborvitae will be shielding the dumpster pad. Impervious coverage will go from an existing 61% to 65%, just like...
Can I?
Sure.
The dumpster, because I was looking for those two TOEM, and you just said they're arborvitae. but-
They're conventional arborvitae, yes.
Oh, because they aren't listed on the map, and I didn't see it, on the chart, and I didn't see it.
Yeah, they're the conventional taller arborvitae.
All
They
right.
grow at about
It
5
didn't
feet
look-
width.
I was looking for that symbol, and I did not find it.
Okay.
TOEM.
Thank you very much.
All right, maybe my eyes were acting up at the time.
Right here.
Yeah, no, he's just saying he's not seeing it over here.
I had wondered what they were. Now, will they grow too high to? the
Yeah, they're
bottom?
listed,
No,
under,
it's TOBB.
yeah, okay. Okay, yes, sir. They will grow 12 to 15 feet typically. Sometimes they grow a little bit higher, but typically at maturity, 12 to 15 height.
But they're right under the linden, I guess, so that they are there.
They are under the linden.
Yep, okay.
I have a linden in my yard. It's about 70 feet high right now. They can get pretty big.
Okay, so they'll fit, all right.
Okay, so we're going from just slight increase in impervious coverage will be under the required amount. However, there is no increase in stormwater runoff reaching the state's drain system to which we're draining for all stormwater events as per our drainage computations that were done by our engineering staff, including Mr. Clark, who's behind me. Incidentally, we have had discussions with the state of Connecticut because we're doing work within their, proposing to do upgrades within their right-of-way. A catch basin, the landscaping, reducing the size of the overall curb cut, making it into 2 separate ones instead of a wide open, removing pavement, and also of necessity to meet codes to get into the building, which Mr. Mancuso can address, but the stairs going in have to have a platform instead of a tiny little area to walk off onto. So we're going to have a slight encroachment into that. And they're asking that, we've already gone through them, they told, instead of being an acquisition of the land, slight little sliver of land, it's going to end up being a lease. And Mr. Slater cannot even...
It needs the money, so.
Yeah, so that means every month a check, but instead of a purchase. And they told us we cannot even apply for that until Mr. Slater has approval and takes ownership of the property.
That's what the next question was on the rest of it, too. I was interested in what their answers were so far. Was until you get the approval, they don't...
No, they're fine, and they've made a decision, it's going to be a lease, and we just have to go through the paperwork.
But on the rest of the work being done there, are they given their approval already?
They won't do that until we do
That's
the
what
encroachment permit. They've been looking at it, all their departments have seen it, but they're not giving any approval until we have our approvals here, if
okay.
you so choose to approve us.
Oh, that's what I understand, but I didn't know what they were up to now.
Yeah, and it's ever so slight, but they'd rather have a check every month, I
Right,
guess.
right.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we're adding a single catch basin because we're putting in the landscape areas. The flow right now will be impeded slightly, ever so slightly. We don't want to have any ponding situation there at all for egress for the northerly drive, which is a fire lane. So we're adding one catch basin, and that's the only structure we're adding, and it's within the state right-of-way, so they have jurisdiction over that.
Now, you covered a lot of other things. There's a back gate on there with a paved drive.
Used to have common ownership.
Going to be closed off?
That used to be under, as my understanding, it used to be common ownership. Somebody used to drive through there. There's a garage with double doors, one facing the back street and one first. It's no longer the same ownership. I don't know why they keep the drive on their property, but it's unnecessary. We're going to be ripping up the drive on our side, and that'll become the landscape buffer.
And the gate will not
The gate is,
usable? Well, it may be on the other property, but
Yeah.
it's going to be blocked?
well, we're going to have trees and all that in front of it, so you're not going to be able to drive through there.
Okay. Well, that's-
So there'll be enough, there's certainly going, if you see the landscape plan, there's certainly enough vegetation all through there. Nobody's driving through there.
Right, and I would just add that I did perform a full title search of both properties, and there is no easement or anything of that nature, so there is no property rights between them. It was just due to common ownership at one time.
Well, we're on that if you did that. A lot of other people use that area back there for parking. Are there any agreements with anybody?
There's nothing of record.
Nothing? Because I know, and I was there again tonight, and people were flocking in there to go into Rinaldi's. Now, is there an agreement with Rinaldi's of any type? Or
There is
any-
not.
No.
So, all right.
That's what happens when you have vacant properties. People start
Well,
using.
But as long as I've lived there, even when Angie's was there, I believe people from there parked there, and I just figured they had some agreement with Angie's or something.
Mr. Chairman, there are signs on the building, Rinaldi's, that says, or on the fence that says Rinaldi's parking.
I know.
So that's something that you might want to look at. There
That's,
might have been a handshake somewhere along the line that, and it's continued usage. I don't know, but something you might
Yeah,
want to talk
that's,
to.
I
was there-
saw them,
yeah.
but I
Yeah.
wasn't even, yeah.
Identify yourself.
This is Jonathan Slater. I was just there tonight because I was greeting the neighbors there, and I saw that I thought it said State Line parking. State Line liquor parking there, so the little,
They could have, I've seen the Rinaldi
Yeah,
signs.
Yeah.
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 Oh, but again, it's
Yeah,
been years that people have been using it, and could have been a handshake between Mr. Paggi when he owned the package store and that building. So it might be something to look at. I don't know.
There's nothing of record, so there would
Okay.
be no rights.
All right.
Well, maybe it would be nice, somebody goes in to talk to Mr. Rinaldi. Oh, I don't know, maybe you won't adjust it.
We've already spoken with him, and he's supporting the project.
yeah, so Jonathan Slater here again. I did talk with Anthony, who's the owner there. His last name's not Rinaldi. It's interesting.
Oh, right,
And Lily, I think her name is. But I think they had a unspoken agreement when I talked with Anthony that he did pay some monthly fee to park there. That's
Okay, well,
that's what
that's-
when I talked with him. So it's interesting. I'll go back and take a look at the signs tonight when I go home. But I could have sworn though it said just State Line. Andy's there. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering what was going on there, and apparently she does too, because we go by there all the time. We live up there in the same area, and just it was something to look into, and okay.
Now you're going to have to stop for coffee.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, but.
No, that's
sort of
fine, Mr.
clears that
Chairman.
up.
Yes. Also, we are dark sky compliant with respect to exterior lighting. We're utilizing full cutoff LED fixtures, luminaires. They're only 72 watts each, as required in section 7.10.6 of your regulations. We have 7 poles. They're only 16 feet in height, which is much lower than a lot of commercial height poles. There are 2 to the east side, 3 on the south side near Rinaldi's, and 2 on the north side near Longmeadow Motors. With downlighting under the building canopy to illuminate the entrance and front facade, which should be very attractive. The easterly and southerly luminaires will be fitted with these house side shields to minimize potential for glare to abutting properties. And just to bring to your attention, these shields are integrated into the luminaire, the light itself. They're not an ugly bolt-on type shield that hangs down from the fixture as some people have done in the past. These are designed right into the luminaire. You order them that way, and they'll be attractive.
Mr. Chairman, the lighting plan is sheet 9 of 13.
Yep.
And while he's speaking about lighting, the lighting in the front of the building is like dark. It's .1 on your lighting plan.
Right. We
Right in front of your entrance is .1.
We can adjust that, but normally we're not allowed to illuminate.
Well, I'm just saying where people park in the back and next to the neighbors is 2.8.
Right.
Which is pretty bright, but right in front of your building where you go in and out is .1, so, .1 is dark.
Right, right.
That's no light. I mean, you gotta have at least 2 to see something.
Right. We'll make an adjustment for that. We have lights under the canopy. We can make adjustments with those too to make sure that's illuminated. Yeah, within the public right-of-way, illuminating that's normally we cut it off at the property line. But but I'm sure that's what was shown on the plan. But we'll adjust that so we'll have plenty of illumination right at the entrance. We'll make that adjustment. Thank you.
Will the lights stay on all the time, or do they go off at a certain time?
That's a question. It depends on public safety people, police in each community. Sometimes they vary depending on where they are, the activity, whether or not they're kept on all night or whether they go off on automatic timers. Preference?
Well, you're in
Security?
the residential there is so tight that at least the ones furthest back should be shut off. By,
Okay, the two, there are two there.
Yeah.
So maybe those could be timer cut off, and then we'll talk with the security people, public safety people in town to see what they recommend. We usually like to go with the recommendation of police. They know the neighborhood. They know what they would want for illumination, what they would recommend. So why don't we'll talk with them, and based on their advice, we'll go forward?
Well, I don't think you can have .1 illumination where people are walking in
Oh,
and out of the
no,
building.
we'll have to adjust that. Right.
No,
We're talking about the back.
we're talking about
Overnight lighting.
a cutoff.
hours.
Well, and along the back, I mean, it's even brighter in your buffer area because it's like-
Roger, we're talking about a cutoff at night. That's,
Right.
They aren't on all night at 2.
Right. No, and Mr. Chairman, he just said he was going to consult with public safety, and that's fine, except for the entrance.
We will adjust the lighting for the entrance, so we do meet normal foot candles for that entrance, yeah, definitely. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. The coffee house proposed to offer some light food selections for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, including pastries, oatmeal, yogurt with fruit and granola, Belgian waffle, paninis, salads, soups, and sandwiches. Beverages will include, of course, many varieties of coffee, espresso and the like, iced coffee, teas, hot chocolate, non-alcoholic beverages all day. And in the afternoon and evening, local wines and local craft beers. There may be some national brands to mix into that, but the emphasis they want to do is locally produced within this southern New England area here, hopefully closer even to Enfield, locally produced craft beers and locally produced wines.
We do have a good producer of craft beer here in town.
Wonderful. So I imagine yes, he's nodding. Client is nodding that we'll be having a conversation. That's great. But yeah, getting a local flavor to it because this is a family-owned business. This is not a chain or anything of that nature. And also we're going to have some we're talking about periodic light entertainment. That means like, for example, and it's all interior, acoustic guitar vocalist, for example. What's appropriate for a casual setting coffee house? The BL zone uses from Table 520 for this application are the restaurant and the liquor permit with any entertainment because of the acoustic guitar type activity. The applicant engaged services of a kitchen equipment designer as we went through this process and of a coffee house design and operations consultant, that's Rebecca Robbins from Northampton, to assist the design team. Hours of operation are generally expected to start opening at about 6 a.m. And closing about 11 p.m. Thursday through Saturday, that's through the weekend, with exception of Sunday. Reduced hours Sunday through Wednesday, closing at 9, opening at the same time. And then, although up to 11 p.m. on evenings, those other evenings, when there may be some small planned events, such as family gatherings or business outings in the back room, and the back room will be featuring a fireplace, incidentally. So it'd have a nice setting for a nonprofit group.
Let me stop you there because
Sure.
we get this at times too, and we try to be more specific than just planned events because otherwise it leaves things wide open. And I mean, any event can be planned, or we would be more specific.
Well, we're open till 9 to the public, but if there's a group that wants to continue on to as late as 11, we'll do that on those off nights. That's a Sunday through Wednesday. That's the intention.
So just set the time for 11 and then start.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I mean.
if we do it till 11, but we may be closing earlier when there's no demand.
Well, that's all right.
If
You're
approved
close.
till 11, it doesn't matter.
We're very comfortable with that flexibility if you're so
Well,
inclined.
that takes care of it.
But I think the commission's concern is that you say planned events and, like, because you're saying acoustical guitar, which is low impact, and
Yeah,
you got
very low
residences right behind. But
Right.
if you then open it up to another planned events, is that a rock concert?
No, no.
You know.
Well,
Nothing
see,
of the sort.
that's That's what,
We're-
well,
we're ta-
maybe we could word that. We'll get some of our people that are good at wordage and word that when we get to the conditions.
That would be the secretary.
Right.
The other thing I'd bring up is because, and you may not be aware of it, but the McDonald's across the street does not have speakers, and it's probably the only McDonald's in the nation that doesn't have outside speakers, and there's a reason for that. So there's not to be any outside noise or speakers.
That's, yeah.
Or even if you sometimes should decide you're going to put in a, what do you call it, the pickup outside.
Drive-through?
Yeah, drive-through.
We've discussed drive-through. We're not interested in drive-through.
Well, they don't even have the speakers for their drive-through, so.
Yeah. That would be unique.
That'll be in your conditions too. There'll be no outside speakers or electronics.
That's fine, thank you.
Okay.
Good suggestion. Okay, and by the way, we just want to make it perfectly clear that although those are the outside hours, as we're ramping up, as we're first starting up, we may have reduced hours periodically until we ramp up with the demand.
That bothers you, not us.
Right. Thank you. The applicant is requesting commission waivers, as we've discussed with Mr. O'Brien and staff, for the building addition setback, where it's at the back of the building. It's 32 feet, whereas 60 feet is the normal in that zone, to allow a 5 feet landscape setback from the property lines and between the building and the drive aisles is normally 10 feet. We just have two.
I just got to clarify, it's not a waiver.
Oh.
What you applied for is the expansion of a non-conforming building with a
okay.
special permit. And by special permit, you're actually expanding a non-conforming building. The only waiver that you're applying for is the reduction in the landscape
Interior
buffer,
landscape.
the landscape buffer to the rear, provided that the commission finds that the buffer is adequate.
Yes.
I thought that we couldn't waive landscape buffers or change landscape buffers.
No, your landscape buffer, it says that the commission may approve a smaller buffer if you find that the landscape treatment is sufficient.
Right.
So you have to make that finding, and we didn't get to that, and we may have some suggestions on that.
Right, except that Alan Drinan said every single time I watched this on TV that there was some kind of a legal case that.
That's the Madison case, but what the Madison case said is that, for example, a lot of subdivision regulations said the commission may waive sidewalks. Didn't have any standards whatsoever, and so what the as long as you have criteria and you make a finding, and in your regulations you have criteria for determine adequacy of the buffer. I mean, if you find it's inadequate, then you wouldn't waive it, or you might suggest things that would make it more adequate.
Okay.
Yeah, our landscape architect indicated to me today that we meet the intent of the regulations in terms of numbers of plants, doesn't vary. The types of plantings that you require in your regulations, we've met that. The only difference is the width of it is 25 feet instead of 35 feet. And we also have the existing vegetation and fence that will remain there as well. And then also modification, I'm not sure what term you want me to use, but to allow the landscaping as depicted rather than the 15% interior landscape parking islands on this undersized property.
Again, you have an existing parking lot, and you're making it more less non-conforming.
Right. Thank you, yes. And incidentally, we found it very helpful when we met with Mr. O'Brien and the administrative review team. I believe that was in December. So in conclusion, the proposed 3J's Coffee House, we think will be a beautiful enhancement to the existing property and also to the surrounding neighborhood, businesses and other people driving by. Certainly much better than the existing situation. It represents a casual setting for guests and introduces traditional New England architectural elements. The appearance from Enfield Street will be far better than the current building facades and site appearance. We're hopeful that this new coffee house will set an example for upgrades and improvements to other area properties. We just want it to be an example and bring the whole area up. And as I said, just walking around for 5 minutes with Mr. Slater's son, Josh, over there. We identified at least 3 other buildings in immediate vicinity that were also vacant, and maybe we can, it's an opportunity for people, hey, if the Slaters are investing in this property and making it terrific, maybe people will see what we're doing, and as Pat Mancuso is going to show you in a minute, what we're doing architecturally, maybe it'll be an inducement to other people to invest in this neighborhood, bring these properties back, giving you full economic value, creating jobs, and make it a much nicer environment for everybody here. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Pat Mancuso. Just one other thing I've already turned in. There are 4 letters of support from the immediate neighbor to the north, Long Meadow Motors, Rinaldi's, and 2 other businesses in the next building to the south of that, which is only 60, 70 feet from us. They are 4 letters of support. They are from, as I mentioned, Long Meadow Motor Cars, the Old Town Barber Shop, State Line Pawn, and Rinaldi's Restaurant. They have indicated their support in writing, signatures on there, and they've been submitted to the commission for your edification. So with that, Mr. Mancuso would like to present his architectural plans, if he may, to show you, and I think they're beautiful, and you know, you see the before and after. I think it's even on one of your exhibits. Here.
Is it on?
Is that on? No?
Hear me?
And it's really, you have to speak direct into it too, Mr. Mancuso.
We got another
Hello.
one. There we go.
Hear me now?
You might want to take down that other board there. While Pat's getting ready, is to the left, upper left.
That are in the record?
Yes, yes. These are part of our.
Nothing new that you're coming up to, just illustrations of what was.
Yeah,
the
just
commission-
illustrations of what we have. Everything's just, just illustrations of what we have. That's correct. You have that already. With one thing is the, you have an example on there of some of the siding, a building with that siding on it, so you give it an idea. The lower left there. I don't think that's in what we submitted.
This is, no. Again, good evening.
So you just got to stamp it and give it an exhibit number.
Okay, thank you. We'll do that.
Again, Pat Mancuso with Capital Studio Architects. As you can see here, on the left is a photo of the existing building, and what our intent is to dismantle the mansard roof and most of the existing roof structure as it is now, and build a new wall, extend the exterior wall with a flat plate, and come with trusses on top of that, and build the addition in the back with scissor trusses in the addition, which will give it like a cathedral ceiling on the inside. The exterior materials, this photo here is shows the faux cedar shakes that we plan on using. This color right here is not the correct color, depicted, but it's more or less the natural cedar color, like this. They look pretty real, and there's just a polymer cedar shakes. What we're doing on the front facade is adding, just on the original portion of the building, the foundation, we're adding thin stone, which, if you look over here, I've got a photo. It will be similar to this right here. And the siding components consist of.
I just bring these up.
Okay. Yeah, those are not the colors, but that is the material.
Okay,
That'll be the siding, and that's the shakes.
but that's not the color, okay.
No. Again.
Well, what will the color be? Do you have anything in the color?
Well, yeah, the example of this would be this. It looks natural.
Well.
That represents a painted shingle.
Right, okay.
Right. They also make them where they look natural.
I know, but,
We've got cement board, clapboard, which is also sampling you have there.
What?
Huh?
What?
Nothing, that's what this is, cement board.
Jeez. Took my finger off.
And above the clapboard, we've got what's called medium-density overlay plywood and PVC trim, all to be painted. And we have PVC lattice work all up above here. This facade steps. You've got the main portion of the building, and the gable pops out a foot, and then the top of the gable pops out another foot. And underneath this soffit is where there's going to be strip lighting that comes down for the signage. And underneath here is where there's the lighting, which needs to be beefed up for the front entrance. And there's a fabric, not vinyl, but a fabric awning over the entry door.
Is your signage planned to be flat against the building?
It's going to be outset a bit. It's going to be attached to the face, but it'll be
No, in other words,
off.
whether you're going to have it like this or this way.
No, like flat.
It's going to be flat against the building, because I'm thinking of people coming up and down the road would see it if it were like the old style.
I thought projected signs were not allowed.
Well, they are, well, in certain areas they are downtown, is what we just, yeah, okay.
That's not the right.
No, but we have a special district up there. It's an overlay district. Would that fit in up there? No? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so no, it's going to be an acrylic molded letter with standoff. So it'll be off the building like maybe 3 inches or so, and downlit. They won't be, they're not internally lit signs. It's not a box sign or anything like that. So it'll be externally lit from above. It's shining directly down on top of it. On the north side, again, we have the handicap ramp coming into the side entrance. Again, the same materials. The only difference being coloring. The massing of the coloring is doing the existing building in one scheme and doing the addition in another. This more depicts, a little more closely the color of the shingle shakes. Again, the materials, it's the same. It's the cedar, the cement clapboards, architectural shingle roof, which should be a slate gray or a dark, very dark gray. Maybe a couple of shades of, greenish blue in there.
Shades of gray.
And showing here again the stone just on the original portion of the building only.
Could dress it up.
In the back, this window pops out for the seating. It's like a box bay window, basically, and then this gable pops out with it. Questions?
So windows on all 4 sides, unlike today.
That's this one.
It's all
Same
How
color.
will the building be heated?
We haven't gotten that far yet. We're not
Oh,
that far
okay.
in the design yet.
The only reason I ask is if it's an underground tank, it's in the aquifer. It won't stop you from doing it, but I just mention it for the planner.
Oh, yeah, no, I doubt we're going that route. No.
Okay.
There's no outside mechanicals.
Not at this point in time, no.
How's it heated now? Kerosene.
There is a full
Look out the
basement.
stove in Angie's, do you remember?
There's going to be a full
I think
basement in the
kerosene,
addition.
as I remember, has gone in there. I smell.
Do you have room for like a condenser if you do air conditioning?
Up in the attic.
Up in the attic?
That's where mine is too.
I don't know, is there a gas line, a natural gas line
Don't
in
know.
that area? I'm not sure, but I think there might be.
I believe we saw gas on the right.
Over here. I'm at the survey plan. I haven't been there yet. Yeah, gas comes into the building. Yeah, the gas, excuse me, the gas goes to the existing building now.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Gas heat.
So there's no tanks.
So, okay.
Solve that problem.
That was good.
Questions?
I do have a question, but I don't know if you'd be able to answer it. Has anybody looked at the traffic flow? You're talking about breakfast type things, people be coming in, out. That is a heavily traveled area for mornings. We already have situations at the stoplight there with traffic flow, and I'm just asking, has anybody looked at that? Even though it's not right at the light, I've lived in that area for too many more years than I want to tell you, but I know the traffic flow there. So to come out, cross over from the southbound over into your driveway, come in, grab coffee, whatever, then to come back out and try to cross over to go down south to get on 91. I'm just wondering if anybody's looked at that traffic flow.
I can make a quick comment. So again, Jonathan Slater. You know, the destination and experience of the coffee house is going to be quite different than, for instance, McDonald's. So we don't envision the same high volume traffic that McDonald's has, and we think that people are going to stay and not just get a cup of coffee and zip away. So I don't think it's going to be as big an issue as, let's say, when I go to McDonald's and I have to cross over because I go there every morning before I go to work, and I have trouble where their volume is probably going to be 5 times as high as our volume.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
was curious because,
It's a good point.
you know, if I'm going to go into your place because I'd rather get whatever your breakfast foods are as
Yeah.
opposed to at McDonald's,
We hope you do.
okay, probably will because I don't go to McDonald's. I didn't say that publicly. But I'm just saying is if you're offering something that's a little different, I'm just concerned about that.
Yeah.
And especially at those times in the morning.
The good news is there are customers.
Well, the traffic is horrendous up there at certain hours. And, but with the design of the drive-ins and so forth instead of the wide open, and your plantings will help some of that.
Oh, yeah.
It's
interesting.
I think it's up to both states have got to solve that problem up there because it is a major problem.
It is interesting. It may actually help by having more structure there than now. It's just sort of haphazard because it's a big. So it's interesting. The structure may force people to be more corralled and behave than what I see when I come home from work and people are going way outside the right lane to get bypassed.
They do.
Yes. So it may actually be better with the construction and upgrade in how it feels compared to now where it's sort of just a big parking lot.
Because that area, well, since you drive it and the two of us do daily or more than once, you get them coming north in the southbound lane and to get into the station across the street. And then you do, because we turn right and go down Booth, you get them in the right turn only lane, which is marked that all the way. And if you stay in that lane to go right, you're apt to get sideswiped because people don't want to wait for the light because people are turning into the gas station correctly. So yes, at certain hours it's horrendous. But that's up to the states to solve, really.
We are still going to the state, but the state has, all their units have participated. They normally go out to multiple units within the state DOT. During the initial process, we've been in that process for what, a couple months now? Say? Yeah, more than a couple months, and they've already looked at it. They seem to be quite comfortable with what we're doing. They understand traffic situation there as well, but we're such a low volume user, they're not as concerned.
Right. Well,
of course, a higher volume user could come in, coffee place with the drive-through and that type of thing, normal, conventional Starbucks, what have you, and then it could be a much higher volume user, which could be problematic. But we think we're going to be, we hope it's enough of volume certainly to thrive, but it's a casual, longer stay volume, and we don't think it's as much of an issue because of that factor.
Any other questions? On your, and Roger can help you out, on your plans, generally on parking lots, to help our sanitary sewers, well, I guess you have to get permission because you'll be going into the state, not the sanitary, the state storm sewers. So,
Oh, yeah, yes, right.
but there's a clause that is generally used on our plans, which basically requires that you sweep the parking lot in the in the spring, and check the catch basins, and that's on the plans for maintenance, that the ownership does that. And a sample is on the ones, in fact, we have one here.
We actually discussed that this afternoon.
I'm sorry?
We actually discussed that this afternoon. We're comfortable with doing that.
Yeah, and that the catch basins get inspected yearly and cleaned if necessary. Because in times that we haven't done that, and it ends up with plugs our storm sewers, and ends up with a water problem for other people too, so that should be on the plans.
We actually had 3 or 4 people at our office discussing that this afternoon, and we understand why you would want that, and we actually, we were expecting to do that.
Oh, okay. Another one we'll have on there are hours, and he's, and also the hours on the emptying of the dumpster, since you're up close. And you work that out with a person, because otherwise they love to come at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or midnight, and start by 4 in the morning.
Yeah, 3 or 4 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
So we ask that we will put that as a condition, hours of the pickup of the dumpster.
What hours you,
Well, basically between, not before, 7 or?
Not before 7.
Not before 7 in the morning, and not after 9 or, yeah, because people want to, well, I wouldn't even go to 9, but, because you're right up against the houses.
Yeah. 8, 7?
Yeah.
7 to 7.
Huh?
7 to 7.
7 to 7, yeah. But between those hours that they
with
come.
the trash hauler? Just
But that-
don't one overnight to disturb the neighbors behind, because it carries, there's no other noise. Yeah. Okay.
Because the dumpster's right up against the.
No, we
residential.
recognize that in the middle of the night, 4 o'clock in the morning, so some of these crews are going out there, we were aware of that, yeah.
It's a little bit annoying at 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
You
when there's
might want-
no other activity,
To
yeah.
the resident.
You might want to look at the limited live entertainment part of the resolution and change it to acoustic guitar.
That's in his request, right.
In your resolution, it just says limited live entertainment.
It could be acoustic guitar, they may have a flautist with them, that type of thing, and it
Could be an
a couple of...
accordion, it could be an accordion, I would guess. So it would be.
Some people
low-
on violin,
a low
violin
level-
and
But it also
cello.
could be a 5-piece band.
No, I know, that's,
You know, I don't mean that you're going to do that. Your presentation's lovely, and it'll be a great use of the building.
Thank you.
I'm just saying that once approvals are given,
we're stuck with it.
and
You are
you
too, yeah.
all decide to go to another site or sell the business because it's doing so well and you want to retire,
I have a suggestion, Commissioner Higley. Maybe we could word that as unamplified music. Would that
Right,
Perfect.
fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
You go with that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, yeah, that's an excellent suggestion.
Well, because we don't have the speakers outside, and you're going to be, to a degree, controlled by the town noise ordinance anyway.
Yeah.
So that's very good, thank you. That's another condition, if somebody's writing our conditions. Oh, Rich is doing
Raquel
it.
is if nobody else is.
Huh?
Say Raquel's
I
over
wish
there
I
writing
still-
it if nobody else is.
Well, she.
I don't think it changes the conditions. You just change the limited live entertainment under the resolve to unamplified music.
Whenever it's your pleasure, I have a couple of other questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So under site-specific, you're having the hours of for the dumpster pickup and the hours of operation, and the maintenance schedule to be for the parking lot and the storm drains, or the storm. It's only the drainage? They don't have any swales there, okay. And I don't know where that would go, probably under the site-specific.
Oh, yeah. Of course, anything with respect to the catch basin has to be subject to approval of the state of Connecticut. It's going to be within the...
Oh, they don't, I'm sure they'll like you to clean out your parking lot, but don't dump sand into there.
I agree, but
I don't know how
it is
often
subject
they
to their
do
approval. They have
theirs.
jurisdiction. Thank you.
Not whether you sweep your own parking lot or not.
Oh, right, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that sand goes down and plugs up the,
What you're saying is sweep the parking lot.
Yeah, right, yeah, that's
And
easy.
check their sump. Okay, so that takes care of that. Does that take care of all the requests? Anything else to the commissioners? No.
Roger's got a couple of issues he wanted to talk about.
Roger, you wanted,
Yeah, I just had, on the landscaping, you had indicated that it did comply with the regulations. You have like 1.5-inch caliber trees. The regulations say that the minimum is 2.5 caliber trees. And so that's got to be adjusted. And
pick up.
and I think we should look at what you actually have in that buffer area, because unless I'm not reading it right, which is possible, you refer to like number plants, like number 3 plant, number 4 plant, number 5 plant. I can't find what number 3 plant, number 4 plant, number 5 plant is. So I think we need a description of what that is so we know what we're actually
That's a
getting.
total number of those plants.
The numbers are the number of each
No,
individual
well, if you
plant.
go to the landscaping plan,
Yeah, I think you figured out.
which is, what, 11?
So there's 4 of these.
10. Sheet 10 of 13 is the landscaping.
Well, your sheet on the front, okay, 10 of 13 and 11. So between 10, page 10 and 11, how do we read what that is?
Well, you've got the table in the lower left corner for the type of plant, and then right underneath that in the box is the number of them.
Yeah, but if I go down to the... If I go down to the planting schedule...
Yep.
And it says size, and it says number 5, size number 3, size number 1, size number 2. So I'd just like to know what is size number 1, and what is size
okay.
number 2, and what is size number 3, and what is... Apparently, there's no size number 4, but there is a size number 5. But I don't see anywhere what those are. It's under size, it's not under quantity.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You have to be a landscape architect to know what that means, sorry.
3 must be the bucket size.
But, I mean, we really need to know what that
That's
is,
right.
because otherwise the commission can't determine the adequacy of your buffer.
We'll be glad to add that in, the size, and review it
But
with
they need it
Mr.
in
Bryan.
order to determine a waiver, because you don't know what that size is. So if the gentleman is here tonight and he's a landscape architect, he can tell us what a number 2 is, and a number 3, and a number 5, and then we would know, and you don't have to come back.
And see, it says container.
Yeah, these are grasses.
Is that the gallon size of the container? Because in the next column, it says B and B for ball and burlap or container.
Right, yeah, that's
abbreviation.
my understanding of what those
Yes,
numbers would
yeah, that
refer
would be
to.
it, right.
So is it my understanding that you're putting gallon containers in the buffer area? Because I would not say that that was adequate buffer.
No.
Yeah, but that's the gallon size, the 1 gallon size.
Yeah, those are-
It's
yeah.
a clump of daylilies. I
When
mean,
you get
that's-
up to-
That's pretty standard.
That,
Well, not for a buffer area, because a buffer area is screening and things like that. And so like lilies and stuff are fine for around a foundation or something. But if you're, the commission, in order to go from 35 to 25, needs to know that you've enhanced the buffer area in some way, you've made it more dense, not
those are
that you've...
dogwoods. Dogwoods, he's going to require those be larger, dogwoods be larger. Those are the,
Well, these are the 2.5 inch, I believe, the LS1.
Right, but the number-
These are the only
numbered
shrubs here.
items are
Shrubs.
perennials and
Right.
smaller other things.
so we've got RPJM, so that's a shrub here.
Right, that's
Yeah.
rhododendron.
Yeah, just a rhododendron. So we've got them in a
3-gallon.
3-gallon container for rhododendron. That's a decent size of installation.
But where are they? That's your
Those
buffer,
are- those
that's
are-
your buffer area?
Yeah, they're right here in the middle of the buffer. We have some PJM rhododendron.
They're sketched in under the circle.
Yeah, there are 9 of them.
So what are they when they're planted?
Well, they don't go by height of them, they go by gallon, they're substantial in the
But
gallon.
we all know if we put a gallon of something in the backyard, it's going to take a while to grow.
Yeah, smaller ones. The smaller ones are gallon, and then you get up to 2 gallon, and you get up to 3 gallon. They're pretty substantial when they're 3 gallon.
Right, but buffer areas usually have
4-inch out center.
tall trees in them, like 5 feet or more when they're planted, not gallon-sized rhododendron.
But those aren't trees, though. Those are
These are just for,
bushes.
these are really for color and interest.
Rhododendrons are-
Okay, so why don't you just describe then what is in this 25-foot buffer area that would make it adequate? Because that's the finding the commission has to make.
Rhododendrons are, they don't go too high. 5, 6 feet.
We have,
Is that right?
we have spruce trees on either end. We have, we're required to do shade trees. Okay, we have those, we have,
Those are limited. a lot of them.
yeah. So we have, okay, so let me just go through this again. Okay, so we have the 3 shade trees. We have maples, zelkova, which is similar to elm, and sweet gum. Those are the 3 shade trees we have as required. Then we're required to have flowering trees, and they include the serviceberry, the tree lilac, and the dogwood. And then we have some flowering and berry-producing shrubs, primarily for interest and berries for birds and stuff like that, underneath the canopy. And that's where we have, like right in the center, we have 9 of the, for example, flowering ones, the PJM rhododendrons.
It'd be nice, that's next to the.
So that's what they have. If you'd like, we can substitute, for example, we can substitute some of these for spruce.
It's not what I like. It's,
Oh,
I'm just saying that the commission
Rhododendrons
has
would
to
be
make a
their
finding.
color, that's a.
Okay, if you'd like us to change from that, which was our interpretation of your regulation, if you'd like us to add in more spruce, we can readily do that.
No, well, the only point was that what you put in there was what would be in 35 feet, but you only want 25 feet. So if you're meeting what you would put in 35 feet, but if the commission has to say 25 feet is the equivalent of 35 feet, then I would think they would want some enhanced buffering in there.
Yeah, more.
Object to the buffer is sound and vision. So,
We'll be glad to add in some, we'll expand the number of, I mean, we can't have more, the shade trees, not too many packed in there, because they're going to get big.
Yeah, that's right.
One's like a elm, one's like a, maples, they get really large. So we don't want to have too many of those in there. We can put in some smaller, we can supplement this with some smaller evergreens, for example, if you want more buffer effect, we could be glad to do that. Or if you'd like more flowering and berry-producing shrubs, we can throw those in too.
Roger, do you have a suggestion or two for the commission?
No, I was just suggesting that, that in finding it, and this goes back to your point, Commissioner, about if you're going to reduce a standard, you have to demonstrate in the record that you You had a
Those
reason
properties
for
in
it.
the back are probably not wanting to see the back of your building, is what we're
Right.
looking for.
Right, agreed. So what we could do is, we could add some additional plantings in there, if you want, for the screening effect. For regular arborvitae, for example, can go in there. We'd be glad to add some if you know, it's not a very long distance, it's a small site. If you like us to add in 8 or 10 of those, we can
Yeah.
certainly add those in.
Those are fast-growing. I think what the
I have-
commission members are saying is the neighbors don't want to look at you, even though you're lovely, and so they want to see something that's fast-growing.
This is going to be good looking. My next-door neighbor planted a row of them. They grow about 5 feet wide. You can put them on, you know, and they're already at over 12 feet high in 5 years. And he took care of them, mind you. You have to water them, feed them initially at least, but then they'll do very, very well. And it's only about 5 years old, and it's 12 to 15 feet in height.
Yeah.
So we can do that. We could replace this with just a row along there if you'd like. And then, but this is a much more interesting plan that you'd like to look at.
No, this is lovely, but we're saying if there's a way to intersperse it with something that grows quickly.
We can do that. And that, the dark American arborvitae, for example, we can do that, and it'll grow quickly, and we can put them in here so they'll do the job.
Okay, as long
For
as
screening
you
effect.
still leave the other things.
So intersperse 10 dark
Intersperse 10
arborvitae.
dark American arborvitae, we're comfortable with that, yeah.
So we're talking about in addition to what's there?
Yes. This is in addition to take care of the factor that we're going from 35 feet down to 25. We agree with that.
Secretary.
And the only other housekeeping detail is you didn't apply for a beer and wine permit, and then you mentioned it in your narrative, so I assume that we have time while you're demolishing and building a building that you can come back at some point and apply for your beer and wine permit?
They would be coming in under restaurant, wine, and beer, and there's really nothing, we can't follow up and start that until he takes title of the
Right.
land. So he
But I
has to
just want to make it clear that your narrative said you're going to have beer and wine, and
Right, it'd
that's
be
that would not be
rest-
approved as part of this.
Restaurant, beer, and wine, right. And we would have to seek that approval from the state as well.
So, any questions from the commission? Any more? Roger, any more?
So I think what I've heard so far is you were adding sweep the parking lot as part of your stormwater maintenance. No outdoor
Well,
sound,
no, sweep and check the,
sweep, and no outdoor sound system, that the music is non-amplified. They're gonna correct the tree caliber. They're gonna address the lighting on the front of the building. There's the hours of the dumpster are none from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And they're gonna add 10 dark arborvitae to the landscaping buffer, and those would be in addition to whatever was on the draft that you had. And I'd also say that these guys have been a pleasure to deal with. We've had many meetings. They've been very, very responsive, and I think this is going to be a great addition to the north end of Enfield Street.
well, everything up there is tough to work with because it goes way back to the original town, I guess, pretty near.
More than horse and buggies
I think
on the
it's a
road.
great use
right.
of an empty space, and I think it's a beautiful building. And I'm looking forward to it coming to fruition and being open.
And it goes without saying that rooftop sign is coming down.
We had a
I
couple
already
of
saw that.
we had a couple of discussions about that last, because it's quite visible as you're coming north on going toward Long Meadow or coming back going
Yeah, that
southbound.
always was.
You could
And-
keep it if it was a mansard roof.
Yeah, we had a lot of discussion, but Mr. O'Brien made very clear that that's got to go.
Well, even just the addition of instead of wide open and the 2 driveways and the little plantings out, I mean, you can only do so much, but you do what you can.
It's going to be attractive, no question.
Just for the record, so what the commission is doing is you're granting a special permit to expand a non-conforming structure, and which is the addition, and the parking lot is an existing parking lot which is becoming more non-conforming. And if you're finding, by adding the trees to the buffer, you're finding that would be adequate. So and it doesn't really say waiver. It says the commission can reduce the 35 feet if it finds that whatever is adequate. So those are the items, and you're approving the site plan. So with those caveats.
Nice to work with people to get their ducks in a row.
Oh, yeah, that's,
We're trying.
okay.
All we need is a menu.
Oh, there you go.
So the motion can say whatever Roger said.
That's right. No, Rich has it all down.
Well, it's a public hearing.
Yeah, I know, yeah, you get me off the track again. Okay, if you're done, if you're set.
Over there.
Okay, anyone in the public would like to speak in favor or against the application? Anyone in the public would like to speak in favor or against the application? Last call to speak in favor or against the application. And Roger, there anyone on the commission we need to keep it open, or are we set to close?
Close it.
Okay, then we close public hearing 2870.
You guys are good now.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to, propose a motion that we accept the draft resolution as submitted for the commission consideration presented by the Town Planning Department, dated June 1st, and with, I guess, some amended conditions. And the first amended condition is that, the condition for acoustical guitar or, shall be an unamplified music. And an added condition would be the lighting at the entrance and the rear. The lighting at the entrance should be reviewed, and the lighting at the rear should be reviewed as to whether, there are certain times it would be turned off for safety reasons. The hours of operation for the facility would be from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. as another condition. Another condition would be that, there would be no outside noise or speakers allowed on the premises. Another condition would be the hours of operation of the dumpster or the pickup of the dumpster would be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That there shall be another condition would be that there shall be a maintenance schedule added to the,
Maintenance of the parking lot.
yeah, maintenance of
and
the parking lot added to the, the site
And the
drawings. Correct.
storm sewer system.
Right, for the storm sewers and the sweeping of the parking itself. And that we amend the landscaping plan to enhance the buffer at the rear, and recognizing that, the caliper of the tree shall be at 2.5 inches minimum. And I think that would cover everything.
I second it.
It's 10 trees, I believe. It was 10?
Right, a minimum of 10 varieties, or, I think that we should allow the landscape architect
that's
to
it.
look at it, and, because he might have some better, suggestions.
We just ran
than-
into one at, in
Right,
another
so,
spot.
yeah, so I mean, if he has some better suggestions, and if he would review it with the, town planner, that, what we want to do is create a buffer that is dense enough, but actually has the same visual effects, and sometimes abrevieties, they could just get out of hand, too.
Yeah, I appreciate that because he's covering me for another meeting. I came to this one, and he's covering me for another meeting, so I'd hate to see him tomorrow morning going, "You did what?"
Yeah, right.
And like you said, that's why I said we'll enhance the buffer, with a minimum of 10 additional trees, and at the choosing of the landscape architects, because they're a little more
That's
versed than we are
Good
as to
idea.
what it is. So,
Second.
Okay. Roger, did we include everything that's supposed to be there?
I believe you mentioned, Rick's asking me about hours of operation.
yeah, I said 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., and then we limited the noise, to no
And,
outside
did we,
noise.
Did we put the,
Are you allowing their landscape architect to say what the 10 trees are, or they have to submit it?
They have to submit it to you for your approval.
did we also discuss that we wanted the backlights to
Yeah,
have cut off?
I did mention that,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Also, just for the information of the, when they submit the revised plans, they can't have on them not for construction or preliminary.
Right.
Because these are the plans that will go to the building department with your structural, electrical, and mechanical.
Yes, we agree. Thank you.
Any discussion? Okay. So we, all in favor? Opposed? And no abstentions. It's unanimous. Oh, boy, you got a job. And thank you for taking that job upon yourselves, because it'll be quite an improvement up there.
We're excited about it. Thank you very much.
I want to see a menu,
Oh,
a breakfast one.
okay. SPR, SPR 1710 is the applicant, good.
Wait a minute, they're talking over there.
That's all right, I'll try to get him to stop. Roger, it's getting to be 10:15. We have to finish at 11, and we got a couple
Past
more
my
to go.
bedtime.
It's past mine, too. I have to go to work early.
Okay.
My name is Bruno Lorenko. My office is located at 295 Rye Street, South Windsor, Connecticut, and I'm a director of real estate for Aldi Food Market. As part of a program, a national program, Aldi, within the next 3 years, has been tasked with remodeling all of our stores, and that remodel differs in scope from expansions to interior remodels, including mechanical upgrades, energy-efficient upgrades, to facade as well. So in our Enfield store, we have already modified or remodeled the interior, brand new paint. We reduced the size of the freezer. We increased the size of the MDU, which is our multi-deck units for fresh offerings. We also did LED lights throughout the store, except for our building sign. So that has been completed. We invested about $1 million in the store to do that. The last phase of that is in a facade upgrade to make it more prototypical to what our current look is, and that's what we're here in front of the board to request currently. It raises the sign. The sign does get a little bit better. As you know, there is no pylon sign for this shopping center. There's one that says Enfield Commons. We're a little bit blocked by the Red Robins. We'd like to get a little bit more presence on the highway or on the main road. So if I can step over to the board. This is the.
Excuse me.
Sure, sorry. I think it's on already. Is it on? So this is the existing facade, and this was already allowed, obviously. We had the glass tower, which was something that we did in the past. What we're asking is to do our aluminum composite paneling, which is a bright silver look, which is what we do in all our brand-new ground-up stores, with our big logo sign. So that work consists of removing the ephes that's there now, painting all of it as the existing color that it remains, and then replacing it with a new sign and the composite paneling.
Now, Roger, we aren't doing the sign, we're just doing the facade.
No, so this started as a sign application, and what we said to the applicant is this is actually a facade modification. And the recommendation of staff is that it be denied because the 3 windows are always better than a blank wall on a sign, and this is a design district. However, we gave you an alternate resolution if you find it's acceptable to you. But you have a design district. You have 3 windows there now, and the proposal is take out 3 windows, make a blank wall, and put a sign on it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's consistent with the intention of the design district. And, you know, we spend a lot of time on colors of buildings and paint and materials and everything else. And so there's, you know, you've got, take out all 3 windows and put a sign up. There's also a middle ground here, which is you can leave 2 windows and put the sign in between the 2 windows. But the recommendation of staff is that you deny the request and they leave the current signage the way it is.
That's a surprise to me. We've been requesting for a meeting from the planning department for the last 3 months.
The,
They aren't real windows, though. They
Right,
just look
they're-
like
they're
windows,
fake
but
windows.
they aren't
That's
real
correct.
windows.
Well, last time we were here, you said you shopped there and there were real windows.
You said the 3 windows. I took it to mean the windows when you're checking out.
I can tell you, I built a
Apache.
store, they're not real windows.
They're not
Right.
windows.
we know they are.
Yeah, they're spandrel glass.
Look, I described them last time as faux windows.
Right, but they don't exist in
But
any
they're
of the
an
existing tenants
they're an
currently.
architectural
We
feature.
understand that, but the time is going to get down to stay on the other. We know the windows part is taken care of.
So if you were to approve this, if you were to approve it, you would be approving taking out the architectural details and replacing it with the sign.
Well,
That's essentially what we allowed next door, though.
that's what I was going to say.
It exists currently throughout the center. And obviously Chick-fil-A that built right in front doesn't have that either. I'm a little bit confused by the design criteria.
Well,
I don't even know what the design criteria is.
did you read the architectural design criteria for the district we sent you?
Oh, you never sent it.
Well, I don't know I don't know who's been getting your mail.
That's never come, we've requested it, that's never come to our office.
It's like the Five Below sign next to
Yeah, the 5 below is just a straight sign up there.
So, I mean, you have 2 resolutions, one saying you're fine with it, the other one saying it's not consistent with your design regulations. And it's your decision.
I know we're getting late, but the one that's there now,
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
with the panels on either
Yes, ma'am.
side of it, are you saying that you would take it out and put the sign the same size as what the
We're
total
proposing
area is?
a bigger sign.
Right.
Yes.
But you're not going to like stick it out or?
No, it's the same look as it is, it's recessed.
Thank you.
Yes.
Roger, because I don't remember, is there any other sign on that plaza that has those side windows
No.
like Aldi's does? You have, I see Five Below is one flat sign, Michael's is one flat sign, Petco I know is, but I'm trying to envision the other stores, if there was other ones that had that particular design where you had the side windows or faux windows around a sign.
That's in the memory.
I'm just trying to, see it as consistent work. I don't,
Well, it's up to you. I don't know.
You got the windows below. Seeing how.
I can see Roger's point about the architectural uniqueness of it, but it was unique when Aldi's brought it in. And it was unique when Aldi's brought it in, but because there's so much of a difference with all the other signs, and they're all just square or oblong
Yeah, they are.
panels,
They're all.
I personally wouldn't have a problem with it as long as it was, Aldi's did such a nice job with their remodel. I don't think that they would do a terrible job with their sign. Do you do your own signage?
Yes, we do our own construction. The person that's sitting in front of you right now is also responsible for the construction. It's
Okay.
me and Belinda who's responsible for the construction of that store.
I
We did
can't-
that, I built that store originally. I did the original fit out for that store. I did the remodel for that store, and I'll do the signage for that store.
I can only
think
speak for
Bob's is one
myself, but
sign
I don't
up
have a
there.
problem with it.
I think Bob's is one sign. I don't know.
Similar.
The only thing that I might add is that, as companies evolve, so do their image. And I think that what we see is that, the Aldi sign with the windows was a previous image that was, circa, 2000 or something, 15 years ago. And what you're trying to do is catch up with the modern, sequence of changing and evolving into, a new, more modern type of, image. And that, although it appears that, it is a modification, possibly that, we need to sort of evolve a little bit and sort of create, a situation that would allow them to, change an image as their image changes, so that, possibly, looking at it, the fact that, again, I don't want to get involved with the size of the sign. I guess I don't have a problem with the evolution of a sign or the evolution of an image, as long as it's consistent with this is what they're doing at all their other stores. Because obviously, it's something that identifies them as being a specific provider of specific items that people have a confidence that they're going to get the quality that they're looking to get. So
Roger,
that
this is I agree, but this is another example of why we need to do something with the pylon signs at the entrances.
The only other,
The commission is okay taking out the windows.
Yeah.
That's the facade change. The sign also has an issue because we've been through this before where you don't allow the sign up into the peak.
Right.
And so this sign right here would have to be down here, could come down here more.
Yeah.
But it has to start right there under your current regulations. You would have to be aware of that.
So, let's see, where's the picture?
right here, your pull-out.
No, I know, I wanted to see it next to the, I'm trying to find the, okay. Oh, yeah, that's the one I was looking at. So you're saying they'd have to bring it in line with, no, well, the five,
Remember across the street with, where the,
Goodwill?
the Goodwill.
Right.
And it went to ZBA and came back here.
Yep.
And made an interpretation. And
Yep.
you interpreted your regulation to say there couldn't be within this triangle.
okay, so
With here.
if he can live within that, then,
If you can live with that, then,
Sound doable to you?
It changes things a little bit, for sure. But if that's the requirement, I'm not sure if I'll.
With the regulations,
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I'm not sure if I would
well, that's.
do the work based on, but I mean,
see,
it's something
that's
that I would
up-
have to get the
that's up-
architect
that's up
involved
into
in
there.
to look at.
Well, no, that's right, it's right in there. Okay, that would do it. Well, then how's that gonna be worded?
Well, if you're comfortable with it, you could just approve the modification of the facade to eliminate the faux windows, and then the gentleman can, decide how he wants to go in terms of the signage. He can
Okay.
redesign the sign and give us a different schematic, and administratively, we can approve the sign.
All right, yeah, and then he wouldn't have to go back here.
He
It's
doesn't
just
have to
with
come
you.
back here.
Okay.
If, I don't know if I heard him correctly, but if he decides not to do that, then he doesn't have to do it. I mean, he can leave it the way it is.
Okay,
Got his charger.
okay, this is a SPR, right? Okay. Well, what is it you want to do?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we, accept the application in conformance with the draft resolution for the commission consideration, SPR 171025 Hazard Avenue, dated June 1st. And I would like to add a site-specific condition that the sign conform with the regulations of the town of Enfield, sign, locations that, what is defined in our regulation should limit, the location of the sign.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded.
And with the other 24 conditions of draft resolution, so there's 25 in total.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions, unanimous. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Sorry for the wait.
Okay, now, I think... Okay. Roger, you have this as a Johnson Memorial, not as a, I lost some papers. You have the administrative approval. But you've given us all the material.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I have to recuse myself from this application, the site plan review, 1713.
All right. And we have nobody to replace you.
Well, he's irreplaceable.
That's right, he is.
Well, basically, we gave you pictures that show where they want to put it. They're putting mechanical equipment out behind the building. It's going to be screened, but it's a site plan app. Technically, it's a modification of an existing site plan. The equipment is not going to be visible, and so it appeared to us to be administrative, and that's why I put it there.
Oh, all right.
Behind these
So-
trees, right?
I know, everything's hidden, but pretty good by all that, the
Yeah,
trees.
so they're going to put some mechanical equipment outside that otherwise wasn't there. That's a modification to a site plan, but under your existing regulations, I have to ask permission, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, a lot of it couldn't go on the roof or anywhere
Right.
else because it's too heavy.
Yeah.
I move that we allow the planner to administratively approve the placement of the new mechanicals on the ground, screened.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. The only discussion I had, and I see that the fire department had no problem, was fire access, because they always like it around the building. And I saw that one of the air conditioner's units was sticking way out, but they didn't care. It's all right. So the motion's made and seconded, and all in favor? It's unanimous. And look at that, Roger. We're 10 of, we're all done.
There's just one item, just to note, and I gave you the materials. If you want to leave them, then we'll distribute them to you again. But the town of Enfield is putting a new skating structure in a park, and the present structure is portable. It could be moved. The new structure is affixed to the ground, and they had an outside consultant design it, and that's the materials you have. And they would like to be before you in 2 weeks for hopefully your blessing, so
Put 'em
they can
on.
go out to bid. So that's what you have there.
Roger, I had just three things. You answered about Olive Garden, and how about Powder Hollow Brewery? How is he coming on his other part?
We scheduled him for an ART on June 7th, and we haven't heard anything else.
All right, and how about our friend on Manning Road?
He's the gentleman who wants to reduce the restrictions on truck traffic. Because there's two on Manning Road. The 35 Manning Road that was on here that's continued to the 15th, he'll be here to make his case.
Oh, all right.
And the other one is coming back. I met with the 53 Manning Road, and my understanding is they're coming back and they're going to put a outside fire escape, and they're going to designate the.
He's the one I was talking about.
And they're going to designate the buffer area. And the only item that he's asked for is.
But now he's on a public hearing. He knows.
There'll be a public hearing, and the item that they've asked for is for some relief from having to tear up the entire parking lot. So I asked him, I said that the commission needs to review what the buffer area looks like, and they're gonna submit a something for your consideration.
Okay.
So that's my understanding of where that is at.
All righty. Well, it's just another one of those that comes in and keeps us hanging. And
The only other item I have,
Either get 'em
Mr. Chairman, if you have any more patience tonight, is I just brought to your attention Plaza Azteca,
yeah,
which is in front of Olive Garden, and Olive Garden was in front of us, and they were doing an outside stone tower, and you asked for material samples, and you asked for what it would actually look like, and they've been diligently putting that together, and the building that's directly in front of them within the last 10 days changed their colors. And so
Well,
we
you ain't
just
gonna
bring
have
it,
that red,
we
I'll tell you.
bring it to your attention. You want to take a look at it. You want to find out how we want to address it.
Can it be a violation?
it is a violation. They changed without.
Can the company be sent a letter telling them they're in violation and they need to get together with you to see if it's something that needs to come back to the commission? I mean, if they want to go back to
They're
the
not gonna
original
get-
colors,
Oh, yeah.
you know, then
Not that red.
we
That's-
don't need to see it, but otherwise,
That's too much.
that's what I would suggest.
I don't know what was wrong with their other brown. And they have signage there. So, yeah, get him in, get a violation, Roger.
All right.
No, well, that's up to you. You can make it more official. What do you want? You want a motion, Roger?
No, if you concurred,
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely,
it was
they
brought
do.
to our attention, and, it's a fine line, but, I mean, when you got a situation where the building behind it is pending application, and you're asking for material samples and what the color
Oh, yeah.
looks like, or what the stone looks like, and it's in a design district, and these guys go and change all their colors without even coming in, then it's sort
That's
of
a
like,
bad precedent.
how can we have two buildings in the same district next to each
Next
other?
to each other and asking, no.
Asking one to do stuff.
So thank you
Yeah,
for.
I agree.
Yeah. Anything further for him?
Yes.
Yes.
Appreciate this, Roger. This works out very well. There's comments on each.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Excellent idea.
Oh, you mean that just shows what department commented and what didn't?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
Except you might-
I want to salute Raquel.
Good job.
Raquel's
Great idea.
idea.
But you might want to change your spelling on engineer.
And it was basically done to help us as well, because when we're sitting here, you'll.
Easier to do this.
Oh, it does.
Well, yeah, because when we're sitting here and somebody will say, "Did we hear from the fire department?" and we're like,
Yeah,
That is a good idea.
it is, if
but
it's in one sheet.
Raquel is a font of a lot of good ideas. She's been a great addition to the office.
Oh, yeah, they're both, it's nice to work with it, except when you get this in one meeting. I know. We gotta get the people, the applicants.
My name is Mary.
Do
What?
we need to receive the
Yeah, Elizabeth is trying to be married tonight, and
I
she
am
just went
Mary
like
Scott
this.
tonight.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Want to second it?
What's that?
We got any applications to accept, Roger? Any applications?
No.
Okay. Then, all in favor?
Aye.
Good, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't
And
think.
now